Find us on Facebook, email us at head2headpinball@gmail.com or go to our website at head2headpinball.com.
Welcome everybody to the Head2Head Pinball Podcast. This is episode 47 and my name's Martin, and with me
it's Ryan C, and I am sick of interviewing Stern employees, so I thought we'd change it up a little bit this time, Marty.
Yeah, not quite a Stern employee, but might as well be.
So Roger Sharpe, the guy who saved pinball, this is not him, but one of his sons, and not the successful one, the other one. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Josh Sharpe, for real this time, for longer than 1 minute. How you going,
so far, we have to see how it goes. We got to get to the first minute first.
How are you, Josh?
How's it going, boys?
Yep, we are really good. So, besides obviously being, the brother of someone famous and the son of someone famous, what would you say in the pinball world is what you would say your claim to fame is?
I would certainly at this point probably say IFPA-related stuff is what I'm best known for these days. I mean, I try to wear a ton of different hats in terms of dealing with, the Stern guys in development over the years and sort of being friends with all of those people. But really, the competitive side and increasing the awareness of pinball as a sport.
And making changes each year that then gets the wrath of just about everybody.
I love the hate. I don't know what it is. We haven't changed things that much in a while. We're due.
Josh,
we're due for something major.
You're in an elevator, Josh, right? And you're having this conversation with someone who doesn't know much about pinball, and you say, "Oh yeah, I'm kind of the head of the IFPA," and they say, "What's that?" So give us your 30-second elevator pitch on what the IFPA is.
I think sort of today it's become like the governing body of pinball as a sport. So, sanctioning events and helping events get started. We're sort of just here as a global resource to try to tie the whole world of competitive pinball together.
So one of the questions that comes up that people ask me is, is it a sport really? And I always come back and say, well, if you think darts is a sport, so is pinball. but what's your definition? Why do you define it as a sport?
I don't know. I think it's a sport when at the highest level. And I think I play a lot of golf, and I see so many similarities between golf and pinball that, I don't know, it just feels so similar. It hits all of those notes. And it's like, if it's technically not a quote-unquote sport, whatever it is, it's scratching that itch for me.
Yeah.
So what are the similarities between golf and pinball?
Balls.
I think, they both have balls. The end. The ability to be able to, I guess, you're playing against yourself, even though you're playing other people, and you're not in complete control of what's going on. When you hit a golf ball, it's sort of like you can hit it where it's going, but whether it bounces one way or the other, the world of pinball is like that all over the place in terms of making a shot and then having to recover, or missing a shot and things bouncing the wrong way. That, I don't know, there's just that sense of anxiousness when you need to do something great that feels very similar to me. So if you're standing over a putt that you really don't want to miss, it strikes the same nerves as having the ball on a flipper and needing to shoot that scoop to tour the mansion or whatever.
Yeah. My sort of, my answer to that, besides the whole darts thing, is I say, well, it is a physical activity. There are competitions, there's elite players, and if you practice, you get better. Therefore, it is sport-like.
I like sport-like. If people don't want to call it a sport, it's definitely sport-like. But there is definitely, for anyone that's played Pinburg, and I think, Ryan, are you coming to Pinburg this year?
Me.
No,
Martin, you're coming. Okay, so it's the endurance part for people that aren't aware. It caught me on the first Pinburg, where it's just good Lord. Standing on a chair for 10 hours in a row is probably a sport at some point trying to do that. But it takes a toll on you, mentally, physically, and emotionally during that entire day.
Well, it's kind of caught in the middle now, I think, in that you've got what people would identify as traditional sports. You've now got the genre of esports that's absolutely,
That's a great point.
Right. Well, it
That's
is.
a great point.
But pinball is somewhere in the middle because it doesn't necessarily get lumped into esports. It's not lumped into traditional sports. So how does it make a name for itself?
I think, and I was just I had an interview with somebody today that sort of brought up a similar point and then tied that into how pinball's been able to survive for so long and how, my thoughts on whether it's likely to survive long term going forward. And I think, the ability to not be able to sort of put the game in a box and declare it as one thing or another, it's such a unique thing unto itself. I think that's sort of the thing that makes pinball most special and not replicable as, something to do. It's like it's its own thing.
I also think because its origins are in an arcade and people think, well, arcades are just fun and they're for kids, how could it be serious?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like, but these days, like, there's competitive everything, right? Like take anything you want. Like the Rubik's Cube contests are insane. You can go on YouTube and watch these people do it in like 8.7 seconds. Like, oh my god, it's 3/10 too late. I'm done. I'm out of here. But it's like the competitive aspect of a thing, I think, is being exploited a lot these days, and we're trying to help do that out of the pinball space.
So you are obviously now the governing body of competitive pinball. Why did you need to set up the IFPA back when you did?
I mean, the big thing that was going on with the competitive landscape at that time was these events would just happen, right? Like you would have like Pinball Expo in Chicago, and you would show up and play, and then that would be it. And there'd be other random events that would pop up, but there was nothing sort of tying everything together in terms of motivating people to attend more for something bigger. So, and then, you take that to the next level with sort of the internet happening and the ability to, where the ranking system came from was the ability to indirectly compete against your peers from all around the world. So, I might not be able to play, Richard Rhodes and Eddie and the guys in Australia at my local events in Chicago and in the Midwest, and they can't play me, traveling around the Australian circuit. But trying to come up with a way where we could compare our results to each other just gave a way for the sport to offer more to the players.
Do you think the current ranking system can be improved in any way? Like, do you think it accurately represents who is the best player in the world?
I do. I think it's pretty good. We haven't changed it that much in a while since we went to. I mean, the biggest change, I think it's now 3 years ago, where instead of having like a minimum value guaranteed for every tournament that happened, we started like grading the quality of tournaments based on, the players that played and the format that was happening, which for 8 or 9 years, I would always just say it's impossible. We'll never be able to do that. And then we figured out a way to do it. But
so for those that are new to it, basically each tournament awards players Whoppers, which stands for something. What does it stand for, Josh?
World Pinball Player Rankings Points. And WPPR being the Whopper.
Yeah. And your top 20 results count towards your ranking.
Correct.
And they have an expiry date, so they start to lose percentages of their value after a year, possibly.
Yes.
Well, you've done very well, Ryan. So
you
far.
do research. No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, no, I remember you talking about it on another podcast. So after a year, they lose like 75% value, and then after like 2 years, they're worth 50%. Is that right?
Yep, and then after 3, they go to 0.
Well, so Ryan, I think, he's been very much on his education path since we've been doing this podcast. But one of the things that I remember a couple of months ago he did talk about was he was sort of trying to understand how the different formats are worth certain amounts and the whole TGP thing. So, you could probably talk for hours about it, but just for somebody like Ryan, who is a bit of a tournament noob.
The 10-second explanation of that is if the more games it takes to win an event, the better judge of skill that event is. So, like the volatility of the result goes down. I mean, I'm watching the basketball game right now. Like, the series is a best of 7. And over the course of those 7 games, it's more likely that the better team will win than if they played one game for all the marbles.
Sure.
Okay. Here's something that happened last week. So I went to a 3 strikes tournament.
Okay.
By round 10, it was over. Round 10 or 11, I managed to go through without any strikes.
Damn.
So, yeah, it was a fluke. All right, so
a bit of a humble brag. Keep going.
Yeah.
Well, this is winning.
This is my thing. If I lost 2 strikes at the end and then won my last game, the tournament would be worth more. So
that is incorrect.
No? Okay.
So we have plenty of volunteers that help do what we do, but this when we went about doing this grading of formats, a player named Dave Stewart actually went through and computed the expected number of rounds for every player count for every strike. So, so because that was an issue, and when we were talking about how we're going to do this, it's like the ability for people to extend matches on purpose to get. I mean, it was a thing. It was a real thing. So, a 22-player 3-strike tournament where, in groups of 4 is worth the same no matter what actually happens.
Guys have almost thought of everything, right? I mean, there's always exploits to be had.
We got 12 years at this, man. There's been a lot of Band-Aids, I would say, over the years. And we continue to, people try to exploit the way that it's the nature of pinball players, right? They do it with game rules when they're actually playing games, and they do it with our rules when it comes
that's the whole nature of it being competitive, right?
Yeah. The most popular email I get is, what's the quickest way for me to get 100% TGP? And it's my answer is always, if I knew the answer, we would fix it, because the whole idea is that it's supposed to be sort of equal to time.
So there was also an exploit where basically, I guess the more people you have in the tournament, the more the tournament's worth. And
Correct.
I think you mentioned on a previous podcast that people were kind of they're at a bar and they would kind of include people that weren't really into pinball and say, hey, play a couple of balls. And they would just kind of flip around a little bit and then that would increase the value, but they weren't really pinball people. So you now have, the ability to pretty much the people that haven't played more than 5 pinball tournaments don't get included in the results.
Rated. And that actually came from, there was a tournament in Louisville here in the States, and we saw the result submission. This is probably 4 or 5 years ago now. But, I had been to the tournament before, and it's typically, around 100 players. What you would see out of, Indisc is bigger than that these days, but a lot of those, like, Herb style, normal pump and dump type stuff is usually around 100 players for the bigger regional tournaments here. And we got a result and it was like 384 players. And I was like, oh my God, what did they do down there? This is amazing. Like, how did they,
pinballs on the up.
Right. It's, oh my God. They gave away, with an entrance into the show, 1 free tournament ticket.
Right.
And then they also put, I forget whatever the newest game was out at the time, but they put that in the tournament bank. And the only way for people on the show to play this game they just had to go in the tournament bank and they could play the new game and then leave. So you had all these people that literally just played their 1 free game on the new game and left.
Yeah. So also in the tournaments as well, is the ranking of the actual player, does that contribute to the overall value of the tournament?
Yes.
So how does
yes, it does. So every player has a value associated with them that if you think of the points available at a tournament as like a pot of water, like everyone has cups of water with different amounts of water in it. So someone like Raymond brings the most water to the table, and it works its way down based off of, there's two metrics that we use. One is where they're ranked in the world Whopper wise, and the other is our ratings metric.
So is ratings more, like, as I said, there's people in Australia that never travel. They don't play in big tournaments, so they could probably never have a super high ranking. But is rating, do you think, the more accurate representation of where someone is? Like Raymond's won on both, right? So he's the best player ranking ratings wise.
I do. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why we have, we keep that stat, and we because we think it's a good stat, and it's based off of the whatever Glicko chess algorithm that we're simulating based on our tournament results. But there's 4 Aussies in the top 20 in rating, and I do think it does a good job of showing, let's just call it the potential skill level of a player. I mean, there are ways, and similar to chess, I mean, I've read enough about, like, people in chess won't take certain matches against other rated people because they only stand to lose and stand nothing to gain. So you can game the system a little bit that way by, if I only played in local events here in Chicago where I was the best player by far, my rating would just continue to go up. So, most of the time, at some point, good players put themselves in situations of playing other good players. And then the good thing about the metric is it's pretty volatile. So unlike Whoppers, where it's sort of your career performance stat, the rating can move. I mean, I've seen if Elwin, sort of quit a tournament and leave and finish 60th out of 64 people, and his rating dropped like 200 points, which goes from like first to, like, I don't know, 300th or something crazy like that.
And how about the last one, the rating efficiency
percentage?
What does that mean?
That is, if you go to a tournament and it's worth 100 points and you earn 5 points at that tournament, then your efficiency percentage is 5%. So what it does is it looks at all your events, it takes the total Whoppers that you earned and divides it by the total Whoppers that were available.
Okay. So how many Whoppers do you steal from a tournament kind of thing?
Right. So like Jordan, who's at 60%, I mean, that's pretty phenomenal based on how the formula of our distribution works. I mean, that's like he's finishing in the top 3 of everything he plays, right, most likely.
Yeah. Pretty much what actually happens.
So it's like, what does that mean? Does that mean that he would come and win Papa? Like, no, but like it certainly it's a metric that certainly shows, like, this kid is obviously good enough to be winning where he's playing. How that translates to where you fall in the true world only really happens when we all get together, like we just did in Toronto.
Yeah. And
you actually get to play each other.
Well, so that's probably one of the, I'll call it criticisms, but maybe a challenge, and it's something that does rear its head on the Aussie forums from time to time, is the Australia versus America or rest of the world equality, and I get that, but someone like Jordan, for example, he. And it probably does reflect the real story, right? In that he does win just about every tournament that he wins. So because of the standard of player underneath him, he doesn't necessarily probably get the maximum amount of Whoppers that he could get. So the challenge for us is really how we get more people into it and how we get players better, I guess.
Sure. And I mean, for us, there's always been, the debate has been, and, you guys in Japan and New Zealand, I mean, you're the perfect example. Like the argument used to be Europe against the US, but now sort of the Europe scene, when you take into account all the countries and sort of treat them like states in the US, like a player can get to number 1 staying in Europe, and a player can get to number 1 staying in America. Like, there is no way a player's getting to number one staying in Australia or New Zealand or Japan. It's just the disconnection from the rest of the world just makes it really hard. So, over the years, the question that's been posed to us is, should the system change to accommodate someone like Jordan being able to reach number one without leaving Australia? Or, the way I look at the system is, at some point, rankings are rankings. The goal of the system is really to motivate someone like Jordan to want to step up and play the best of the world. And so it's like having that carrot of like, hey, dude, if you really want to be known as, an elite player, you're going to have to come and face the other great players, wherever that ends up happening. Whether it's in Europe, whether it's in America, whether we all come to Australia, like at some point it's going to be those meetings that take you to, the elite level.
Yeah, but in America, you have, because of distance, you have access to so many more. He doesn't necessarily. And also, being a young kid, he's got to pay for his way as well.
Right.
So,
no, it's true. It's valid. It's valid. Shifting the whole system to accommodate people like that has been an argument that it's like at some point it's better to and easier for us to say, sorry, Jordan, than explain to the world why this kid that most people haven't seen is the best player in the world. Not Jordan, but like Peter Watt has been used as an example for years.
Right. He won't travel.
That's right.
Right, exactly. So, should the system be rewarding Peter and trying to find a way to push him up into the top 10? And it's like, it was part of the reason why we created the Power 100 rankings, which does recognize someone like Peter on like a global level.
Yeah, for sure.
Is the maximum whoppers you can get without like any percentage boosting for major circuits, is it 100? Is that where it tapers out?
It is 107, I think. It's 32 base points, and then 50 get added through like the ranking, the Whopper value add, and then 25 get added through the rating, pool add. So there's an additional 75 points available based on who plays.
Yeah, I thought it might have been kind of unlimited depending on how many people you had there, until I was just kind of like clicking around on the IFA website and I noticed that like the 64 player tournament for the the World Championships that just happened last week.
Yep.
Raymond Davison got 128 points or whatever it was.
Yeah, something like that.
It's like he beat 63 other people, but they're pretty much the best of the best.
Yeah.
Colin McAlpine last year beat like 799 people, whatever it was, and he got just like 10 points more. So does that mean that those other 730 people are kind of so insignificant for a player of the caliber of like Colin McAlpine or you or Josh or Keith, that they don't really add any more difficulty to the tournament? Is that how the IFA sees it?
They definitely don't, because the formula uses the best 64 players add water to the pot. So
okay, so that's why
it's exactly
why the World Championships are 64.
So,
okay,
you got it. Where you'll see something like Pinburg is like, if you go look at Colin's results, see what the value of second place at Pinburg is versus the value of second place at Toronto.
Ryan, go and look that up. While I ask,
that's a lot of clicking.
I'm curious.
While I ask this question, so it sort of comes back to when you started IFPA to now, and you'll see where I'm leading this. It really is about the growth of pinball, and I'm bringing it back selfishly to Australia because we still want to grow it. Talk about the growth of the IFPA as far as competing people over that time.
Yeah, I think. Did you guys have a chance to read what Dennis wrote up from the Eclectic Gamers podcast? So like that was enlightening to me. Yeah. Like he'd reached out to me to like send him a bunch of data, and it was like, here you go, man. Here, go nuts. And I guess it's easy for me to miss that sort of being too close to the data. I check it out, and the numbers go up every year, but. Yeah, the double-digit % growth that we've continued to have. I mean, I can remember, the first rankings I put together were 500 players, and thinking that if we could ever get to 1,000 players, like, man, it'll be hookers and blow from there. I mean, 1,000 players would be crazy.
I'm sure it was anyway, but
and it's like, when it goes from 1,000 and it's like 2,000, 5,000, 10, and then at some point it's like I have no expectation anymore.
Right.
So, we're about to hit 60 and it's like, okay, like we're not really celebrating anymore because it's just like there's no stopping. Like, so I don't get
that's 60,000 people that have ever played in a tournament or played in the last 3. Okay.
That's the forever stat. That's not the active stat.
Okay, what is the active stat? And is active anything in the last 3 years? Is that what you class as active?
Yes. Oh god, I used to have those numbers. I don't have them anymore. Go read what Dennis wrote. I think it's somewhere. And Teolis actually just brought it up, but like, I think already this year. Yeah, no, of course not. I don't. I think there's 10,000 active players this year so far.
Okay.
Or it's somewhere like between 8 and 10, and last year there was 12 or something like that.
Well, so that's what I'm trying to find out really more about the growth in the Australian scene, whether you've seen that being on par with the rest of the world.
Certainly, I mean, the IFPA has been around, whatever, my iteration of the IPA has been around like longer than the Australia scene really started. Like, it sort of existed the same way that like it did in the States in like the early 90s, where just like these events sort of happened. But I can remember, working with Dan in sort of just getting the IFPA established down in Australia, and like you went from like we have like our country list or whatever, and Australia went from nothing to like the second biggest country in terms of people.
Right.
And so, it's been amazing. And probably Dan or Luke would be probably better to talk to as far as feet on the ground out there. But like, I had a chance to talk with Mitch and Grant. Those were the two guys that came out to Toronto, I think, to represent you guys.
Yep.
And it's like they were talking about their respective areas, and it's like it's insane. It's the same thing that's going on here. It's just nuts. People starting events, more people coming to events.
A little bit of a later start, but the reason why I guess we do a podcast as well is that the pinball scene in Australia was always big, and I guess it was around the world. But when you had the slump, and a lot of countries, particularly around in Europe, they sort of didn't really have pinball. Australia always did. It was always part of our culture growing up.
Yeah. I mean, and market share too. I mean, you guys are definitely a big part of the business as well.
Yeah, that's right. So, and that I know you don't work for Stern, but when are we going to get a Stern Army?
That's a great question.
Don't you reckon?
We broke the barrier and got Canada in since a couple of months ago. It's on the agenda. That we have to be careful. The things that we do with Stern Corporate direct with the players. There's definitely some. Anytime you go around distribution for anything, there's chances that distribution gets upset about what you're doing. Whether that's the Stern Army, whether that's our rewards program. There's a lot of issues that come up of like, hey, why are you dealing with my clientele directly? Like, we'll handle that.
Yeah.
So in Canada, for a while, we couldn't do it in Canada because the distributor said that, like, no, we'll handle this. And then, of course, they wouldn't. But at some point, it's like, we're just going to do it because nobody else is doing it. But fortunately for you guys, AMD is great down there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm semi-surprised they haven't started just doing it themselves. But, maybe there's a way for us to... I can talk with Zach about bridging the gap and getting the Army through the AMD guys down there, because they're sort of they have their finger on the pulse probably better than any other distributor around the world.
Yeah, well, they're already sponsoring a lot of major events. They just announced that they're sponsoring the Brisbane Open and donating a couple $1,000s to that. So the whole reward,
I think, right?
Yeah, they sponsored that as well. So the rewards program. So I'm ranked outside the top 1,000 players, right? But if I happen to make my way in there, what rewards are available to me, Josh?
So it's sort of a roving list of games that are available, and there's special IFPA pricing related to that I can't speak to on air, but like people that are welcome to email and ask, and similar to like I know distributors can't post pricing. They can email people privately or talk to people privately. So we're sort of set up in that same mold. So
is it basically make IFPA a distributor for the top 1,000 players in the world?
Kind of, yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Except that I don't have profit, so really it just goes to Stern directly. Okay.
And does anyone from around the world take you up on that offer besides people in the US?
It's very rare because the most popular question is, hey, what's the pricing? And the answer is always like, oh my God, this pricing's amazing. The second question is, hey, so can I include this game on like the next truck that's going to my distributor? And my answer is like, no, that's where the deal gets really shitty for you. You have to ship the game yourself to wherever you need it to go. So
directly from Stern or
directly from Stern. So it's like FOB Chicago to fuck all, wherever it's going. And like for a lot of people, it ends up like costing the same. I mean, that's why like the distributor pricing is so high, because then you have the import, duties and taxes and whatever. That outside of, I have seen international people ship the game to somewhere in America and deal with it later. That outside of doing something, shenanigan-y related, I don't know. Or I mean, the only way that I've seen that I could see it work is if, Dan and Luke reached out to everyone in Australia who was in the top 1,000 and said like, hey guys, this is the rewards purchase day. Get your order in, and then we're going to do a container together.
Yeah, okay.
Let's do it once I get in the top 1,000, guys.
There you go. You can spearhead it, man. Spearhead it.
But obviously all these things, like the Stern Army and the rewards program, they really are there designed to promote more pinball. But
you got it. And promote people to play more pinball.
So that was going to be, taking that aside, really, it's actually the tournaments and what we call comps that are really the best way of doing that. But my question is, I don't know, there's so many different scenarios I can give you, but, if somebody's starting up a new tournament and it's aimed at getting new people into the hobby, what's the best format for that versus somebody that's established, got a large group of people? What's the best format? What advice would you give to people on the types of formats that they use?
I think it really depends on your audience.
Sure.
And it's the most popular I have with people that are just like, what's going to work best for me? And it's like, I can't tell you that. You need to work it out with the players that are showing up, especially I like it when you're talking about the local level.
Yeah.
Like I've made changes to our monthly format here over the years, just based off of input from the players and in terms of what they would like to see. So, I know that for a while we would run, a standard like double elimination bracket, and the same players that were not as good or the new players, would play 2 games and leave. And that wasn't as fun. So, with match play software that's now available, doing something where everyone gets to play for 3 hours, or the Flipper Frenzy type format where it's just constant play. I mean, I think those are by far the best because especially when someone who's just getting into playing pinball, like they probably just want to play pinball.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's like, so just keep them going. And I think that's a huge turnoff to, and you've sort of seen the backlash of the like unlimited herb style of the pump and dumps where, you can play a lot of pinball, but you end up just standing in line far more than you play pinball. And, for a lot of the newer people who are like, I don't mind standing in line. I'll get my tablet out, watch some movies, do whatever, talk to people. Sure. Like, play. It's just a part of my weekend and I'm used to it. But for those people that are eager to play because they're new into it and it's just very exciting, like there's nothing, it's just a killer to be standing there sort of twiddling your thumbs, jumping up and down, like wanting to play and not be able to play.
So you introduced the selfie format That was you, wasn't it?
Yeah, Nate. It was Nate Shivers and I after a podcast with no notes that we just started talking. Imagine that, fellas.
Well, that was introduced. I actually ran a selfie league. I think it was probably just over 12 months. It was freaking awesome. You then sort of had to, as you tweak the rules because people were then exploiting it as well. Has that sort of cooled off, that format, or is it's still pretty popular?
I think it depends on, like, our monthly event here is still a selfie format. So for us, we treat the selfie portion a little differently. So instead of it being like everyone qualifies and then, like, unless you're in the top 4, you're not winning, like, we do a regular, like, 3 strikes type of an event, but based on the selfie qualifying portion, we award prizes, we award extra strikes. We do a lot of, like, fun stuff with that. But, what would happen is if people couldn't get out and play during the month, they weren't eligible to show up for the finals because it's as if they never even qualified, So, we got rid of that restriction in terms of you could just show up and play the night of the final. But if you want to win some cool stuff, and fortunately Stern is 10 minutes from our monthly place, and Zach brings some fun prizes to give away, and it keeps people motivated to play, in the selfie league and snap their pictures just at a chance of, a lot of the stuff we do is like random giveaways too. So it's like, as long as you submit at least one selfie score, you'll be eligible for the prizes. So I think finding ways just to, like, for us, the motivation there is location pinball earnings, right? So outside of just letting people play, it's also like, how can we get people, who are operating these games more money?
Well, so the other format that sort of did go through some changes was the pin golf format.
Yeah.
Has that had an impact on the number of pin golf tournaments there are?
No, that we thought we were going to kill it. Mostly,
is that what you wanted to do?
Because no, but, like, we definitely wanted to make it. What we were finding is, the biggest exploit there. You set your target scores for your pin golf to, like, whatever. Like, the challenge on Adam's Family is to shoot the chair. Ready, set, go. Done. All right.
The challenge is to have fun, but keep going.
So, yeah. So for us, it was like people were exploiting it with easy courses, and it's like, they were hole-in-ones-a-thon, and you could play 9 games in 10 minutes. So for us, we wanted to make sure that a game of pin golf was as equal to a full game of pinball as you could get.
Sure.
So that's where sort of the grading of the course difficulty came into play with the new pin golf rules. I thought that most people would tell me to go F myself and just not run pin golf anymore. And certainly when we announced the rules, people were posting like, great, death of pin golf. Thanks, IFPA. You guys are great. But we haven't seen it. People that sort of really want to do it, follow our rules, and it's fine.
Is it hard to marry up a kind of a format that is fun to equaling a lot of points for people that are serious about tournaments? Like, it is, like, there seems to be a lot of people saying that the heads up format is the most fun, the most nervous, the most exhilarating they've ever felt playing pinball. But it's worth, like, it's the hardest one to organize, and it's worth nothing. Like, it's worth
nothing. Yeah, I mean, I would be surprised if at some point, do we make an exception for heads up formats to be able to sort of grade out better? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we did that someday. If we really decide to want to push that format going forward. We've only done 2 ourselves as far as the big one. And I think we're sort of still figuring it out a little bit, but it's really hard, to organize for people that, like, don't have the same game. I know the Slam Tilt guys keep getting the same random old games that they can now do this, but like, they haven't, right? So it'll be interesting to see if people actually do it or not.
Well, how about right something like, like a 5-minute game? I was talking to our good mate Jeff Tielis about this just before, and he said that Bob Matthews was talking about it, and like a really exciting format to be televised, and you'd be able to kind of know roughly how long a tournament's going to take if you said see how you can go for 5 minutes, and your best score in 5 minutes is the score that you get, and then hands off. You can run those tournaments now, right? But
you can, sure.
They're not worth. If you only play one ball, you're getting nothing.
You're getting right. You're getting a third, pretty much. And I guess, that just goes to show, like, I don't know. There's the purity of like what pinball is about, right? And you talk like, even if you talk to like the great players that played in Heads Up, and it's like, oh yeah, that was awesome. It's not real pinball, but it's awesome. And it's like, so at some point, like, is it real pinball? Is it not? Like, I don't know how it all comes together yet. So
look
someone for 5 minutes. Like, part of pinball is being able to play as long as you can if you keep the ball in play. It just the nature of the game.
Yeah, I know like the sports like soccer have never really changed. I'm not sure about baseball and basketball and that kind of stuff, but as something to look at, have a look at cricket and how that's changed over the years. It used to be 5 days of playing, and they actually still have that format, and it's like the purists are like, this is real cricket. Like you have to find out who the winner is in 5 days, like the same match. And, I think it was in the 90s or something, they introduced 1 day cricket, and it blew everyone's mind. Like, 1 day? Like, what is this junk? Like, heck, and it was still like 8 or 9 hours long, right? And then people got sick of that, and now they have 2020 games which are over in about like 2-3 hours. And
wow.
The growth of the sport based on that has been like astronomical, because people can take their kids to it. They're like, I can take my kids to this. I know this is getting a bit off course with pinball, but what I'm saying is that these, you can still keep the old formats, but these kind of like radical changes, everyone thought they were stupid until they become more popular, and then it just becomes part of the whole sport. Yeah.
I think like back in the day, a decade ago, like the gauntlet format was sort of that one-off, like, wow, this is so much fun, but not real pinball format. What was like, that format? I think similar to pin golf, but you'd have like a challenge on each game, and it would be like ready, set, go, and you had to play through, the gauntlet of challenges. And then once you got through them all, the stopwatch would stop and you'd be done. So it's like, clear all target banks on Stargazer, and then run to the next game, and start 3 mansion rooms on Addams Family, run to the next game. And if you didn't do it by the time the game was over, you'd have to just stay there and keep going, or hit a certain score on a game and then keep going. And it was fun. They set it up. They used to be the Papa after party event back in the day.
Yep.
So they would the games wouldn't even be near each other. So it's like, get 50 million on Addams Family, run to Fast Draw. Where is it? I don't know. Find it. There's 400 games here. So people are just like running just to get to the next game. And it was
an obstacle course in between the machines as well, just to make it physical.
Oh my God.
Maybe like an American Gladiator.
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
Do not pass.
Yeah. So, I would say,
I think, with all these formats, I think like, we'll obviously we'll take them as they come, as they get more serious. And I think the more people we see want to go to these sort of like not standard 3-ball game formats, we'll take it under advisement. And if there's a way to push those, like I can't.
Isn't that the whole chicken and the egg thing though? Like you have to support it to be able to grow it.
Kind of. I was
talking to the guy who runs Match Play, and I was like, hey, if you like added the whole Flip Frenzy format, I know it'd be really hard, but that would help grow the format, because then you can, like, people always ask me, like, how do I do it? I got to download this spreadsheet.
That's true.
But he was like, oh, but how many people play the tournament? Like, well, they're not playing the tournament because they don't know how to run it.
That's a fair point. I think that probably gives a little bit too much credit to Whoppers. Maybe like, I don't know who runs events strictly for Whoppers or not, but I'm also, someone that's been playing plenty of years before a Whopper existed. So the events that I run here, like, I'm more concerned with, like, I want to be home in 3 hours. I don't give a shit if it's 20% TGP or 40%. Like, I don't care. I'm not going to be here until 2 a.m. But that's like me, right? But like, I don't know if other.
Well, I'm trying to do both at my tournament. I'm trying to get almost maximum Whoppers and get the shit out of my house after 5 hours. And
just in relation to all the changes that you've had to make, and arguably the most controversial. Let's bring it out.
Oh, the dollar.
Dollargate.
Dollar?
Here it is.
Dollargate.
Because is Australia getting Dollargate as well?
I don't know. I'm pushing for it. What do you guys think about it? What do you think?
I don't mind, but
So there's two things, right? Like, besides, like, for us, obviously, like, we are going to have a hell of a state championship series this year. Like, for like everyone that qualifies is getting paid, and so like there's the whole benefit there of that happening. But the secondary benefit is like it's sort of weeded out the riffraff of people that would just like I'm going to run 78 tournaments in one night to get my players rated and to do this.
You got to be careful about that. We mentioned this, Josh, and we got in trouble for it. So there's a lot of people that play in Australia over 100 tournaments a year, but most of them are the let's get people rated by.
But, so like right, so which is kind of an exploit, right? So like it sort of helps self-correct an exploit unless that community is willing to pay for it. But I think the other thing that we did by we did a top 20 at the state level as well of your events, where that's new for this year. So I mean, if you played in 100 events last year, you could count all 100 and make your sort of point your way in. I think what we've seen is a lot of these weekly events or daily events or whatever, like players are more concerned about like, I don't want to win 1 point 52 times. I'd like to win, 10 points 5 times.
Sure.
And then it doesn't fill up my resume. So there's a lot of like self-balancing of like weekly events that now report monthly. So it's not $1 a week. It's a quarter a week. And, the Whopper situation with that is now everyone's seeing bigger points per submission, which is good because their events are caps now.
How does it work in Australia? So when I run a tournament at my house next year, right, say I get 20 people, I have to give $20, so $1 per person to the head of IPA Australia. They forward it on to you, I'm guessing. And then sometime during the year, all of that money gets kind of tallied up and a percentage of it goes towards a state final. So are we having that money? Are we having like a Melbourne state final?
No, we haven't. We've got sort of majors in each state. So there is Melbourne Match Play, which really is our yearly
but anyone
major.
can go into that, right?
But anyone can go into it. Yeah, look.
But in the US, they have state. I'm ranked in the US, like and Canada, because I played one tournament in those places. So is it the top people that are ranked in that state?
The way that your ACS works is you guys are pretty much just doing it at the country level.
Yeah.
So I remember talking with Dan and setting up the ACS, and it's like, do you guys want to do, state at the state level? So you have like, I don't know what your states are. What are your states, boys?
It's
not Sydney. That's a
Wales,
city.
Victoria.
Yeah, QLD. What the hell is that?
Queensland.
Is that there you go.
It's a real thing.
I see the calendar submission, so I know like the abbreviations. But like, I remember talking with him about, do you want to set up like the Queensland series, and then it's like no, because I guess some of the activity in some of the states where is way lower than some of the others. But like I could see it, but that was also like 6 years ago or whatever when you guys were far smaller than you are now. So
I'd love to do that. That'd be fun.
I was looking at the state finals, when you did, whenever it was the most recent one, and I was looking at down per state, and I won't necessarily name them, but there were some states where the two top people...
Arkansas, say it. Arkansas.
No, well, it was actually Utah, because I'd just been to Utah.
Oh, okay.
But what I noticed is that the top two players for Utah weren't necessarily up with the top 100 or the top 400, 500, whatever it is. But the fact that two people from Utah still get to compete in the national championships, right?
One. It's only one. It's
one.
It's the champion.
Well, it is the so it is the one, but there's obviously all your different states. That's still a cool thing for that particular state to feel that they're represented, which can then promote to get more people into it, right?
See, and I think I actually I think for taking it to you guys in Australia, the ability for each state to guarantee participation in whatever sort of national final that you guys would have, I think does far more to motivate play within a state versus I imagine that you guys go through a lot of state to state comparisons and it's like, oh man, we can't keep up with Sydney.
Yeah.
It's Queensland. It's QLD. QLD have
but
not 90% of the top players whopper-wise in Australia.
There's the argument that happened in the US years ago. It's like, if I don't live in Portland, Seattle, or New York, I'm fucked. And it's like the rest of the country is just like, oh well, too bad, so sad. And I think, Australia, you guys have the same thing. You have these pockets of where competitive pinball is really happening, and then you have a whole large amount of the country where it's not.
Correct.
And it's like, well, how do you pull these people in? And
who
that was probably the greatest.
Luke or
that was
Dan?
probably the greatest. I mean, talk to them, both of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
Luke's
it's really valid. I know that this guy, I remember North Dakota joined the state championship series, and this guy Dan Stepney, who I'm pretty sure. So the first time that they were in it, they had no events with rated players. So the state rep emailed me about what to do because everyone was tied at 0 whoppers for their standings. And it was like, oh my God, I don't know. I didn't think about that. So, they ended up having everyone show up or whatever, and they played. So the winner ended up coming to Vegas for nationals. And it's this unrated player who's ranked, 40,000, 20,000, something crazy. And he was awesome. And it's I remember talking with Zach, and it's this is why we did the SCS. This is amazing. This guy who plays in the 4 tournaments a year in all of North Dakota, to qualify, won his state championship, came here, and he got through a couple of rounds, and it's who the hell is this guy? It's Dan Stepney. Get out of the way. And he's since, he's been back a couple of times, but it's that moment was so awesome for me to see. It just reinforced we got to be able to reach, these areas where it isn't as developed. You almost need to. It's more important to reach those areas. Seattle and Portland here in the States they don't need the IFPA's help, right? Before we came around, they had 800 events a night. They're just crazy.
Well, it also helps with when people have a rating for, when you keep on drilling down ratings, oh my gosh, I'm 1,500 in the world, but I'm 30th in Ontario. That's so I'm competing against my local people to try and climb that ranking.
I had a guy last night at our monthly tournament who he's been playing for 5 months and sort of just starting to peek around our site, and I was sort of taking him through it, and it's he didn't know what he was ranked. He was like, oh my God, I'm 10,400th. And then I was like, oh dude, you're also 74th in Illinois. And he's like, no way. And I pulled up the standings, and he could see how many points he was away from 50th. And of course it's when you're looking at that level, it's very doable goals, right? He's earned 1.8 whoppers, and it's dude, if you can just get to 4 whoppers, you'll be in the top 50. It's
it works, man. Every
does,
time someone comes to my tournament, I've only run 3 or 4, but every time someone comes and it's the first time they're ever playing, once they get an IFPA number, I message them and I say, check it out. And they sometimes they don't even know that they were going to get a rating. Yeah. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm rated 20. They usually end up 29,000. I think that's the starting get 0. And then they have a million questions, and I try to answer them, but that's why I'm asking you all the questions, because I don't know half the answers. But it works. It gets people curious, especially like IT people eat that shit up.
Yeah. You guys are fortunate too. Luke and Dan down there are awesome. They they're 2 guys that whenever pretty much anything from Australia, Adam Becker and I just don't even review. We just approve it because those guys, just send it on over. We just wave it on in. But those guys are so just on the ball with everything that we're doing. It's great for you guys. So expanding into states down there, I think is a great natural progression for you guys.
Yeah, I think so too.
We're gonna corner Luke this Sunday, Marty, and
there you go.
push it through.
Absolutely.
Done. All right. It's time for a new Age Legends Cracks Ryan awesome puzzle. So, Marty, are you sticking with this is basically a quiz show for pinball. Marty, this is your chance to win your first one.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you staying with Go for the Wall, Marty?
Yeah, go for the wall.
Josh, what's your call out?
Oh my god, I don't know. I should have thought about this.
Gave you so much time to think about this. Come on.
We'll go.
Whole 24 hours.
We'll go. Whopper.
Okay, awesome.
That'll work.
Love it.
I gotta keep reinforcing that to all of your listeners, so they get obsessed. Whopperitis.
Awesome.
Just here for the whoppers. Okay. And apologies in advance. Most of these questions are really stupid. Okay.
Good.
In Creature from the Black Lagoon, because I've been playing it all week, what is the maximum value you can lock in for your first shot? Yes, Josh?
Oh, I don't know. 4x.
No.
Okay.
I'll finish the question so Marty you can answer. No. You're out. Marty, in Creature from the Black Lagoon, what is the maximum value you can lock in on your first shot in Move Your Car?
Oh.
Come on, Marty. Ooh. This is a gimme.
Come on,
I don't know,
Marty.
I honestly can't remember. I'm going to say 2.5 million.
No, it's 8 million. Okay.
Same on Judge.
I get to it when it's about 2.5 million. He's probably right.
Correct. 1 point to Marty. No. In Whitewater, right? Whitewater pinball, you can only move the spot river letter in the in lanes and out lanes in one direction, left or right.
Whoppers.
Yes, Josh?
We're going to go right.
That's correct. Josh won. Ernie Hudson did the call out for 2 pinball machines. Name them.
Whoppers.
Josh?
Ghostbusters and Congo.
That's correct. Come on, Marty.
Just, keep it going.
All right, Marty, you played this game possibly in the last 2 weeks. This is a little clue for you.
Doesn't mean I'm going to get it.
If that's the question, I'm not going to get it right.
Yeah, the answer is correct. I did. Point to me.
Okay, in which 1981 belly game is murder being committed on the back glass?
Whoppers.
Josh.
Fathom.
Oh wow, that's good. I had like two follow-up clues just in case you guys.
I didn't.
No, I can remember. I can remember being 3 years old and asking my dad, "Why is that fish being murdered?" No, I'm kidding.
If you're playing Attack from Mars and you complete 3 of the lanes and you got a 3x hurry up the middle, how much is the payoff for that 3x hurry up?
Whoppers.
Josh?
500 million.
Yes. Come on, Marty. It's still possible to draw, Marty. Okay.
I'm not even going to answer the next one. I'm just going to wait. You can get it. Marty can get it wrong first. Go.
On the Marty, you'll get this one right.
On roller games, what are they saying
when you go for the wall? What is the tagline on the flyer of 1996's Tales of the Arabian Nights? This is a multiple choice, okay? A, totally like Aladdin, but without the licensing fees. B, made by enigmatic pinball designer / inventor John Popaduke. C, your wish is granted. D, world on the glass. Mate.
Go for the wall. C.
Yeah.
I feel like it should be B though, right? At this point.
Yeah.
Model / actor. All right. Which was the first production Williams machine that used the DCS sound system? I know you know it, Josh. You can buzz in if you want.
DCS?
I don't know if I do. I do. I mean, I can take a guess. Is Indiana Jones?
Yes, that's right.
Oh, there you go. I wouldn't have had a clue.
All right, Marty. This one's for you.
For sure.
Describe to me what you need to do in the Hobbit mode. One ring.
The what?
There's a mode in the Hobbit called One Ring. What do you need to do?
Go for the wall. Hit the right ramp.
Yes. Is it right or left?
It was the right ramp last night.
Okay, done. Marty's catching
Now,
up.
is it the right ramp because you guys are in the southern hemisphere? Is
Yeah,
it
that's
low for us up here?
In Indiana Jones, there is an Easter egg inside the video mode that involves the Michelin J frog. What is the score payoff for getting that?
Go for the wall.
I
I'm
don't know
going to say
that,
20 million just because.
Oh, Marty, go. That's it.
Is it really?
Awesome.
Nice.
Yes.
Oh, there you
All right.
go.
Josh is on 5. Marty's on 3. There's one question left. Should I
Worth
make it?
10 points.
It's always the most ridiculous question at the end.
Yes, it is. Okay. Which? This is a multiple choice, so you got to wait till the end. Which term best describes popular pinball podcaster personality Jeff Teolis? Right.
All of the above.
I was just going to say all of the
Make
above.
them great. I hope they're fantastic.
A, Canadian bully. B, a no-soul ginger. C, a super nice guy. D, bubblegum butt. Or E, all of the above.
Go for the wall E.
Yay, Marty wins his first thing. What a
Brilliant.
comeback. Unbelievable.
Brilliant.
Against us. How many whoppers does he get for that?
There.
Oh God. I'll ask Luke and Dan. We'll give you something special.
with you in on this and not having a great rating yourself, it's probably worth fuck all.
So let's talk about I want to talk about your opinions on modern games because
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
okay,
No
everyone
comment.
just
No comment on all games.
Josh works for Raw Thrills, right? And it's run by Eugene Jarvis. He used to be a guy who worked for Williams, not Stern, back in the day. And
Who said he worked for Stern? I was just like, what? I forget what podcast I was on. I was just like, whoa, I gotta go ask my boss. What the hell's going
definitely not a Twippy award-winning podcast.
Can I just ask, what was his the first iconic games? Was it Defender and Robotron? Were they his?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
awesome games.
I've never seen a picture of Eugene Jarvis not smiling, but you work with him, Josh, so he does not smile, right? It's not like he's got some kind of facelift.
I don't know. He's a pretty happy dude. It's he's fantastic. He's and the language. Everyone at my work would be fired in any normal job 11 times a day for bad language, and that all starts at the top. When I'll hear Eugene, ends up he does the pinball circuit, similar to the pinball designers a lot of the time, and it's like I just wait and cringe to watch the video because it's like the first thing you see is a bunch of kids in the audience, and the next thing you see is like, oh my god, the words that they are learning.
Well, I mean, Raw Thrills are kind of kicking ass at the moment. Well, I mean, it seems that way because when I go to a time zone and that's like the redemption centers are called here in Australia, and I bring my kids, I get the voucher for like unlimited play. The game that they're most gravitated towards
Jurassic Park.
Cruising you, no, they're scared of that fucking shit. Okay, the
really?
girls,
my kids
two really young girls.
Jurassic Park.
Yeah, Cruising USA, and it makes them feel like they're amazing. They're laughing. They're having fun. It doesn't matter if my kid comes like sixth or first. When it takes that picture at the end, and she just screams and says, "Oh my god, that's the best!" So it's I don't know where I'm going with this. I just wanted to tell you that it's fucking awesome.
Well, I also just want to say thanks to Raw Thrills because when you go into these centres, which are effectively gambling for children these days, at least Raw Thrills have actually got skills-based games still in these arcades.
Wow, skills. I mean, very loosely skills, right?
No, I think. Well, here's the big thing for us. Like, it's always important for us to provide entertainment. So, I mean, we see plenty of games out there that tend to lend themselves towards the, gambling-ish type of nature and not provide entertainment. So even our redemption games, we want to make sure that we're giving you, like, regardless of the number of tickets you won, like, you also had a kick-ass time playing the game. So, our philosophy is definitely centered around that. Where other games, whether they're cranes or whatever, the nickel pushers that are really just out to get your money as fast as possible. We definitely have not gone that route. on purpose.
So your latest game is like a Halo Rails shooter? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we can, we're supposed to start building. Next Monday starts subassembly and games out the door for Dave and Buster's the week after. So work is insane right now. Turns out if you have 99% of the parts you need to build the game, that is a epic fail. Can't do anything. So it's there's a lot of parts on that game. It's insane.
You guys made that massive Pac-Man shooting thing as well?
Yeah, the world's largest Pac-Man, and then we did Space Invaders
Space
Frenzy
Invaders
with the same screen.
That's awesome.
I played that one.
That's
player one in Canada. Sorry, I was playing with Jeff Teolis, and he was like a little kid playing that game when he beat me. We had no idea what was going on. There was just LEDs just like flashing in our face, and he's like,
they're pretty epic, those machines, though.
It's that game. Yeah, that game. When obviously this is a pinball podcast, we can also talk about Rothwell stuff forever. But that Space Invaders game there were 7 different games that came before that were all terrible, and my boss, who's the COO of the company, like literally we'd come out with Jurassic Park. That's been really great for us. And the guns, especially that one of our mechanical engineers who used to be in pinball actually, but he designed the gun, and it's just the feedback you get from the gun is amazing. And our COO was like, hey, take that big screen from World's Largest Pac-Man, go get a 2x4, put 2 of these Jurassic Park guns on it, and just put up 30 Space Invaders guys. Let's mow them down and see how it feels. And it was like the greatest thing ever.
Right.
And it was before we did like all the respawning and stuff, but just like the most basic iteration was like just the initial like Space Invaders screen where all the aliens are up there. And you just like, you mowed them down while the gun is just shaking in your hand. And it's like, I think we got something here.
So bring it back to pinball.
Yeah.
I remember hearing, yeah, it's an amazing thing, isn't it? I remember hearing on a podcast somewhere, and I can't believe I can always say this now. Like I heard it on some podcasts. I listened to so many, just mashes all into one. So like in Toronto, I had 5 days off of not listening to podcasts because I was like busy organizing the event and stuff. I literally could not get my podcast catcher up to date. It's like they just keep coming. Yeah. I have 58 things to listen to. It's crazy. So I remember you saying that you were somehow involved with JJP and like score balancing on Dialed In. You told them to make multi-ball worth less and modes worth more, and that's what makes modes worth playing for. So what's your capacity like with all of these pinball companies? Are you kind of like employed, or do you just do it out of goodness of your heart?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys, like you guys talk pinball every week. Like I talk pinball every day, and a lot of the people that I know have just, through my dad, have been in the industry for, a lot of these people, like Dwight has known me since I was a teenager. Lyman's known me since I was a teenager. And now 25 years later, they're still in the business. Like these are relationships that I've had for a really long time. So, I think the ability and it stretches obviously Zach at Stern now. It is a little bit more of an official capacity, but like even back in the day, Zach and I would both, go into Stern randomly, and it's like, talk to Lonnie, talk to Lyman, talk to Keith, and play their new stuff and give our feedback of things that we liked, things that we didn't like, and I don't know, like some designers value our opinion more than others, and we like sharing our opinion just because we like talking about it anyway. So anything we can do to make every game better, I'm all about that.
Well, one of the things that you did say, and I won't obviously directly quote, but it was something that sort of I kind of just stuck with me, was the question was, do you still play for fun? And
someone took that sideways. I heard that too, and was like, I don't enjoy playing for fun.
That's what it sounded like. It was
bullshit.
Kind of like, I enjoy the competition side of it, but not really the fun side of it. That's not true.
I enjoy the fun. That is not true.
Yeah, because I also see you when you've been on some of the Dead Flip streams when he's releasing the games for the first time. You're having a hell of a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, no, pinball's great. It's like certainly getting to play like a new game is like still one of the greatest things ever. You get like sort of it's like a first date or something. Like the butterflies of excitement is.
Oh, geez, we don't get that anymore. By the time we play it, we've seen like all the streams, and it's 3 months old.
There's features removed from what we promised. Like things just keep happening.
Yeah, we don't get to complain about early code.
Yeah, my dad feels that way too when he gets to play a game for the first time, and he's felt that way since like the 60s. So it's an amazing feeling. But I love playing everything. Like I will go play a game in the basement for fun against nobody. So clearly there's not a whole lot of competition going on against myself.
What have you got in your basement at the moment?
Oh God, 30 games.
What's the newest one?
The newest by year or the newest purchased?
Not AFMR, the other newest one.
Batman's my newest.
Okay.
Iron Maiden coming when I can get it.
Yeah. And what's your favourite? Is it still Cyclops?
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
That is
it's
great.
amazing.
I got to play for that for the first time at Papa last year. I'd played it for many years on a digital version on Visual Pinball, but I finally got to play it. And it really is living up to its hype. It is a fun game.
I love it. And I'll go down and play it, and it still kicks my ass. It's it's crazy. It's crazy good stuff.
So since you're kind of like working with all these companies on testing their new pinball machines, what are Deep Roots games like? Are they pretty good? Because I saw they said they were reaching out to top level players. So what can you tell us?
I haven't seen it yet. I'm looking forward. I keep waiting. I'm refreshing my email like F5 over and over again. Waiting.
Well, again, if I was Jeff Teolis, I would point out that they said top players.
Right. Oh, come
Jeff
on.
Teolis? You mean Robert Mueller?
What? Leave that to him.
Okay, so let's go through. I mean, some of the newer games, and I want kind of like your opinion on them.
Sure.
Yeah. So Houdini.
As much as I can without upsetting all the people that make it.
For sure.
Houdini?
Personally, I'm not a huge fan of it. Like, I understand the people that think the shots are too hard or whatever. Like, I don't know if they're too hard or not, but I don't find them particularly satisfying.
Okay.
I guess is the best way that I could say it. And then as far as
on a hardware level, is that where you don't like it that much, or software?
I mean, a little bit of both. Like software, I know that Josh has mentioned like people think the game's a chatty Cathy, and I'm definitely one of those people. Like I think that it talks a lot, and I think to me, and this is obviously just like personal preference. For me, I'll use the term world under glass. There is something to, like, when I shoot a left orbit on a game, I don't want to feel like I'm shooting the left orbit on a pinball game. I want to feel like I'm doing something, in the universe of the game that I'm playing. And I find that, like...
So do you think that's sound related then?
I think it's like explicitly for Houdini, it's like the rule explanation takes me out of the theme. So when the narrator's telling me to, shoot the left orbit followed by the right ramp, like that has nothing to do with Houdini, magic, what, you know what I mean? It's just like it takes it into like pinball rules, not Houdini rules. So it's like, if I'm talking about Addams Family, like people still to this day, like say, shoot the chair. They don't say shoot the scoop. You know what I mean? So like, there's just something to tying it to the theme that I feel is missing.
Okay. Dialed in.
I think it's great. I think it's really great. It
TNA?
Plays a little long, but it's good. TNA I think is also great. That the package that Scott did is just like, it's so unique. Love it. It's great. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Have you got either of those two machines?
I do not.
If someone said you won a tournament, you get one of these machines for free, right? You can't resell it or anything, so it's just like you're just getting the machine. Which one would you choose over those two? Because they're vastly different, but they kind of people put them in the same category as great machines.
Yeah, I would choose Dialed In.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And what about Supreme?
Oh, I can't talk about that because
No one wants to talk about Supreme. We had Jerry on last week, and then he kind of emailed us and was like, "Oh, you mentioned something about Supreme." I'm like, "You did the sounds for Supreme, and we didn't talk about it." It's like this hidden thing. Like
I saw there's like a Sunshine Laundromat has.
Yeah, they just got.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't believe it. That game is pretty. Whatever the Spider-Man version of that game, which I have played a lot, like is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's exactly what I've said about it. I played it at Papa and was really surprised at how much fun it was.
Yeah, I remember like when I went over there and saw it and played it, like I wrote an email to Gary afterwards, and the team over there was just like, that was like my expectation level, because I'd played the previous ELG or whatever home level game, the Transformer Avengers one.
Yep.
And it's like it felt like a toy, and it's like I show up to this thing and it's like, the shots are good. It feels like a pinball machine. Like there's rules here that make sense. It's like, this is pretty awesome.
Yeah, agreed.
how about Alien?
Never played it.
Oh.
Kind of disappointed. I have never played it.
At some stage you might.
Or not. Should I not be disappointed?
It's fun. It's a fun game. We played it. It's all right.
I'd like to get my hands on one at some time.
Iron Maiden.
Awesome. Game changing. Fantastic. Like amazing. Like the one Iron Maiden is the one game probably for me since like Lord of the Rings that like I can remember going to play a Lord of the Rings at a test location over and over and over again, and it like a 20-minute drive for me,
right.
Which was like I was used to growing up with like an arcade down the street. So for me, like driving out 20 minutes each way to go play a pinball game was like kind of a pain in the butt, especially with games at home. And like Lord pulled me out often. And Iron Maiden's the first game that like I'll go over to Stern and I'll usually spend more time, back in engineering playing the new stuff. Like I will go there to play Iron Maiden. And like it's been a while since a game has pulled me that hard to like I just want to play Iron Maiden some more, so I'm going to sneak over there on my way home.
Do you think that's because it's kind of the brain from Keith, who is a tournament player as well, and arguably has played as much pinball as you to create that experience from that world that you've got?
I think it's exactly that. I think that like my personal opinion, I feel like good players make the best games, like rule wise, and maybe I'm biased because that's the circles of people that I hang out with, but I feel like like nobody knows pinball more than Keith before he even designed anything. I mean, the guy knows every rule of every game. He knows stuff that's in the code that the programmer that wrote it doesn't know. Like that level of knowledge is insane, and he uses it to make a game that hopefully would pass his own test as a player. We all benefit from that.
For sure.
I don't think anyone's going to disagree with you that that like a really good pinball player, it doesn't necessarily have to be a tournament player, but I guess it kind of goes hand in hand, will generally make a better game or a better rule set than someone who doesn't play that much. And I guess an example that I don't know if I want to say that. Okay.
See, it's hard, right? It's hard to you don't want to poo-poo anything.
Well, I don't want to poo-poo it, but like there's something that really annoys me in pinball, and like one is like skipping animations. Like if I don't want to see something, then I want to make the choice of double flipping and not being able to see it. And Keith Johnson and Lyman Sheets on every single one of their games allows me to do it, and I thank them for it. Right, the only thing that you can't skip is say like the castle blowing up, and I think on Metallica you can't skip Sparky, but I think there's a menu option if you want to enable that possibly. But I'm like, all right, I need a 2-second break. That's fine. There's something like say you're playing Ghostbusters, right?
Oh God, here we go.
Well, no, I can give it.
Say there was a programmer named Swite Dullivan. Go on.
Well, okay, this is the thing. When I shoot, like say you're in Looping Supers, right? I want to see. It's the same jackpot every time, but I want to see what that jackpot is. It does the whole really cool super jackpot kind of payoff. I'm not sure what they call it in pinball programming, like the fanfare, whatever. By the time the score comes up, you can't look at it because the ball is at your flipper. when the snack bar is open and I get a hot dog, I want to see how much it's worth, but I just see the guy's stupid face and then giving me a hot dog, and then I've got to look back down because it's too late.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? Like little things like that, where if you play the game nonstop, well, one, maybe you wouldn't care about it because it's just a score and you kind of look up when the ball's over and it doesn't matter. But for me, I'll kind of want that excitement of seeing what I just got.
It's hard. It's hard. I know. I can remember with like playing X-Men the first time, and it's really hard when you're, whether it's like sound cues or like call outs, especially the time frame that you have to work with based on the movement of the ball is nuts. So I can remember, like, I think it's like who in X-Men, like Storm talk like for 14 minutes when you start her mode or whatever, like, I am Storm, it's going to rain, slight chance of showers later today.
Put on a raincoat.
You literally, you shoot the side ramp, and it's like, I can remember talking to Wason, and it's like, dude, you have like 0.7 seconds before the ball's back on your lower left flipper shooting something else. And it's like, this lady is just talking about the weather for like an hour and a half. Like, it totally ruins the moment. So it's like, it's so weird how, like, you have to be able to give that experience and do the full boat of, like, the whole experience, cut it off, and be ready for the next experience. It's so hard for programmers to be able to, like, cue all that up and make sure you have something that's, like, entertaining in the fraction of a second.
Yeah, it's well, as I said, the more pinball
like,
you play, the more little things annoy you, and you know, kind of like not to do that, right?
Yeah, and it's amazing how, like, it's sort of a thankless job because it just feels right when it's right, but when it's wrong, it's just like it's sort of like Austin Powers. You're just like, mole. There's a mole in your face. There's a mole.
Mole.
It stands out so bad when it does go bad.
But Jerry Thompson mentioned that last week with the sound. It's just like if you don't notice the sound and then you're just having a good time, then I've done my job. I just never want you to stop and say, what is that? That is like a disgusting sound. All right, what else have we got? What other new-ish games are there? Guardians of the Galaxy.
Better now.
Yeah.
It really is.
I think I was not a huge fan when it was what the carbon copy paste from the previous, colored arrow target practice game rules.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
I think where it's ended up and a lot of what Mike Vinacore has done over at Stern to sort of, he's been a blessing over there in terms of helping all the design teams out with rules help. Like, it's great now. There's a lot of personality there that, I don't know, I feel like it's almost a shame that the bloom was off the rose on that game before it got to this place. I mean, if this was, and I mean, that could go, obviously Stern is still trying to get to 1.0 at launch as the dream. And, Iron Maiden was pretty much there. But if Guardians came out at whatever, 1.01 code, for the first, Dead Flip stream, like, there's a lot of cool shit in it now. And it's like, what's Deadpool at?
What?
Just trying to sneak one in there just in case.
Yeah, he knows nothing. Well, so you've got Batman. You said you've got your Batman machine. Clearly, you would have to be happy with how that coding has progressed.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's awesome. And, like, sort of knowing where Lyman was going with it, it's sort of it's the "In Lyman We Trust" motto that so many people have adopted. But, like, yeah, I mean, he's following through on the vision that he had, and it's still getting there. But it's great. I love it.
Last one, Star Wars.
I'm sorry, you guys were cutting. You guys were cutting out. Sorry. It's okay. It's okay.
This is what I want to kind of talk about, because on one of the pinball profiles you've been on with Jeff, you kind of said, and you kind of had this argument about it.
Is it the action button?
Yeah, about the action button. You said, like, just leave it there and don't touch it. You said that. Did you say that you do that, or is that you just?
I do that. I do not move it around.
Okay, so hypothetical situation. It's 2018. Fast forward like 7 weeks from now, you're up on stage in the finals of Pinburg. All right, you're there with your brother Zach, Keith Alwyn, someone else. Okay, choose a random good player.
Jordan Treadaway.
Jordan Treadaway's there. Okay, just destroying it. And the last game is on Star Wars, and you need the full points to win. Now, it is going to be absolutely 100% impossible to beat any of those guys if you don't move around that multiplier.
That's not true. That's
not true?
No, you don't have to do it.
What's it like? What kind of massive scores do you get on Star Wars without moving?
10 billion, 12 billion. whatever billion you want. You just have to go. I mean, the big hyperspace hurry ups that you get at 40x happen when you set it and forget it, because the shot that ends up being multiplied as you get up to 40x is that collect shot. So
how about modes though? Like, I mean, like if you're in like one of the mini wizard modes, I mean, each one of those shots, if you've got a 40x on it, is 500 million. If it's not 40x, it's like 20 million. So 2-3 shots, and you've lost out on 1.5 billion.
I guess. I mean, I find that like very rarely in a match is it a battle of everyone getting to these wizard modes. So you talk about like all these potential lost points. It's like usually getting to the wizard mode is a win. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where yes, I could have gotten 24 billion and instead I got 7 billion and I won. So for me, it's far easier for me to focus on like, let me get through, 2 of the like planet wizard modes for a game and play them well and play good victory laps, and as long as my shots are on the big 3, there's enough shots on all 3. I forget what multiplier where they start to reduce from 3 to 2 to 1 shot, but there's a lot of play where those 3 shots have a lot of action on them.
Okay.
Enough that I feel comfortable leaving it there.
Do you think, I mean, like the whole multiplier thing obviously is making its way into more and more games. I mean, it's been around forever, but it seems to be getting a lot more attention on the new games. Do you think there should be some kind of like hypothetical, like limit? Like, a shot should never be more than this much X, because it just kind of like splits the game up too much between elite players and non-elite players?
I don't know. I think the idea of like there's a balance to risk reward, that if the reward can get too crazy and the risk isn't there to sort of go along with that, and it's easier for elite players to get to a much bigger reward compared to their other competitors, I think a game can break down there. But so, I mean, like it's relatively, I wouldn't say easy to get to 40x all day on Star Wars, but it's not that hard. You know what I mean?
You can do it by accident. Someone could be flailing during multi-ball and it happens.
So like I do see issues there where like a casual player can beat another casual player from flailing better and having, these shots worth far more. I do like if there was risk associated with needing to complete certain things to get your multiplier up that tests the skill of the player better, I think that's warranted and valid. I think like something like the in-lane shot multiplier on Walking Dead, like you can build it up to 8x, 9x, 12x, whatever you want, as long as you're willing to avoid it and skillfully play it and then execute it on a shot that's worthwhile. Like, I think those moments are excellent.
For sure. I mean, it could still happen I meant my biggest shot multiplied shot ever was, 2-3 years ago on Walking Dead, when I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. I was 300 million something shot, and I'm like, I've never done that again, even trying to do it now.
But like, still, obviously, like there was a rhyme and a reason to why it happened.
Of course.
Even if you didn't realize it.
Yeah. Well, so obviously people have got to start innovating with rules, and I think they're all pretty subtle. I think one of them was, the random pop bumper awards, and now you've got all the multipliers. I understand that people kind of need to introduce new things to machines? Or do you just think, no, they've just got to get it balanced perfectly, like what Keith's done with Iron Maiden?
Or Scott Denisi with TNA, for example.
Yeah, I think like balance is the most important because like a lot of your features are rendered irrelevant if they're not balanced well. Except for like the people that, I mean, I've had this joke with Lyman at Stern over the years that like, you know, there's some amount of the community where score is completely irrelevant. That like you just don't have a score in your game. It's just completely objective based, and people are looking forward to like, I want to finish this, I want to get to here, and that's fine. But I mean, to me, the heart of pinball is it is a point scoring game. So like, I feel like the rules have to follow, you know, balancing the points appropriately across those rules, or else they're not worth playing. And then you could have the greatest rule ever, and it's like, if it's worth complete shit, then it's not worth playing, no matter how fun it is.
But it also comes back to what you were saying before. It's not just about the rules and the points and what they're worth and what your score does. It's also how it's integrated into the theme, right? It's got to mean something. So
to me, that is, for me, the most important thing. So like finding a new way to do, like, we're doing reverse multipliers. Nobody's ever thought of doing whatever. It's like that. All that stuff is like fine and geeked out or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think the magic of pinball is when something makes sense with the theme. And I think a lot of like those, that's why I think the love affair with those 90s Williams games exist. I mean, I've talked about it a ton in the past, but like a game like Twilight Zone, that is a lot of people's favorite game of all time, the rules of the modes are ridiculously stupid. Like, if you just wrote down the rule, but, you know, I mean, like, explain to me Clock Millions, the mode.
Just keep on hitting the clock.
Shoot the, right. So it's like, you know, can you imagine if, you know, you start your Iron Maiden game and it's like, you know, aces high, shoot this one target as many times as you can. And it's just like, it just didn't make any sense and whatever. But it's like, in Twilight Zone, specifically for that mode, with the clock that's moving and that's the value of the shot and the sound it makes when you hit it, it's just fucking brilliant. You know what I mean? Like I love it. And you see if you can hit it 2 or 3 times in a row, and it's like, quit playing with the clock. It's like, it's just so tied into the theme. It makes the stupidest mode in pinball brilliant.
Yeah, Williams sounds like that whole 90s era. Like you can talk about some of the turd games they have, but they're still fun. Like, there's like, I don't, you know, I'm not calling Junkyard a turd. I don't mind Junkyard because it's like the dumbest theme ever, but it's still a fun pinball game, right?
Yeah. It's just they find ways to. I mean, you could poo-poo World Under Glass, but it really is the truth. I feel like games today, kind of from all the manufacturers, have lost that a little bit. And I feel like there is a bigger focus on the actual rule that's being played and the rule needing to be cool versus the tying to the game itself needing to be cool as well.
Well, that was the whole thing with Keith doing this. That before he came out, and everyone obviously knew that it was him doing the machine, a lot of people were saying to me, oh, you know, it's going to be really all about rules and scores and all the kind of stuff, but because he's a tournament player. But when it came out, he actually thought about all that other stuff as well, equally, I would say.
Well, it's great. It's great when you see like the way that the modes tell a story through the shots that you're trying to make, whether it's like, you know, the shots that are like drifting towards the center. I think it's like Ryman the Ancient Mariner. Is that where it's like you have to drift the boat on or off course or whatever? And it's like that's great because it allows like an emotional attachment to the mode. And I think like that makes the longevity of a game and how you feel about a game far more positive. It's like if I asked you guys, like, you know, explain the rules to me for Fester's Tunnel Hunt for Adam's Family. I think you guys could both do it.
I don't know.
Probably.
That game
Go for the wall.
Go for the wall.
I have no idea.
Hit the 3 tunnels.
Right. So, like, if I said, explain to me Klingon Battle 1 from Star Trek.
Yeah. I can explain it easy. Hit the red shots.
Right? But it's like, what are you battling with?
What if you're
like,
in multiple, Marty? Do you hit the red shots or the red shots? Did they fix that in the latest update?
No.
Finally.
Yeah.
But, like, to me, like, that's where, like, Star Trek fails, to me. Like, I have no idea the difference between destroy the drill, Klingon battle, save the Enterprise. Like, I don't feel like I'm saving the Enterprise when I'm playing the green mode at all.
I understand that, but I was actually having this discussion yesterday with Bruce from the Slam Talk podcast about, what could they have done in the update that's just come out, and I said have more away mission modes, because they are actually defined and unique to the actual machine itself. Have those go up to level 2 or level 3, or when you're in level 2 modes, enable away mission modes for that as well, because that's where it becomes more than just hit the random coloured target.
Right. There's actually, it's telling a story a little bit.
Correct, or the spinner, all that kind of stuff. So, that was what was different between that machine and the likes of those Bally Williams of the 90s, is that the modes would be specific to a part of the machine.
So why has that happened, Josh, if pretty much the Bally Williams team that they all got kind of made redundant, then moved over to Stern? So what's the disconnect there between, like, Steve Ritchie making, Game of Thrones and Star Wars, and, like the same people doing kind of rules and this and that, but it feels so different?
I don't know. I wish
nostalgia,
I knew.
maybe. Maybe nostalgia.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, I don't know how the teams interact today. I mean, you have outside consultants on sound and on art a lot of the time. And, like, also just the design period. Like, I don't know if they have an incubation period long enough for everything to sort of present itself in a game. I know that, like, if you talk to any of the old Williams people, they'll reference, when the game was at the bottom of the stairs. And it's like the game was out on test amongst the Williams people at the bottom of the stairs, in engineering for long enough that, like, I don't know, I feel like back then the game went through its paces inside, and nobody got to see anything until it got flushed out, and you had enough people sort of talking about it to make it the best game it could be.
Okay.
But I don't really know. Yeah, I don't know how people are tackling a theme. I mean, Keith has done it pretty good with Iron Maiden, that, like, it's obviously possible.
Yeah.
How does a game like Star Trek get made where, like, there is this not, avoidance of trying to tie these modes to meaning something emotionally? Like, I don't know.
I guess they also did a lot of original themes as well.
That's true.
That
That
helps.
That probably made it easier. Yeah.
See what Steve Ritchie comes up with next.
No comment.
Get ready to battle.
Are you saying, no comment, are you saying that Steve Ritchie has retired, Josh? Josh Sharpe says that Steve Ritchie retires on the Head2Head podcast.
This week in pinball.
Steve and Lyman Sheets have both retired together.
Oh my gosh. Is it time to play Slam the Top 100?
Very quickly.
Okay.
I've got someone coming to pick up my Hobbit.
Okay. You sold your Hobbit, Marty. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah. That's
Josh, would you like to be on one of our teams, or would you like to battle me and Marty?
I'll be on one of your teams. Too much pressure to battle.
Okay.
To battle you guys.
One is me, 2 is Marty. Please generate a number from 0 to 2.
I don't get to hear the voice? Is that done in post? Okay. Oh, there we go. There it is.
No, it literally takes like 5 seconds for her to start talking.
Okay, all right.
It's so ridiculous.
1.
Yes! You're on my team, Josh. Okay.
All right.
Josh and my number first. Please generate a number from 0 to 100.
All right. 3.
Oh!
No way. Iron Maiden.
Wait, how do you guys do this without, like, like you've only pulled one number. Like, what happens if it's the same number that you've already done?
We
redo it, and you never know because we edit it out.
You never notice, yeah. it actually hardly ever happens, except for that one time where it was like 10 in a row or something. All right, Marty, you're going to be up against Iron Man.
Yeah, this is going to be. Yeah, I'll do this for sure.
Please generate a number from 0 to 100.
Coming right up. 66.
Oh, almost the number of the beast.
Yeah, well, they're related somehow. Kingpin.
Have we done that? I don't think we have.
No.
All right.
Kingpin, Capcom's Kingpin?
Correct.
Yeah.
The one that I have played so much of.
That's number 66 in the top 100.
Correct. There's absolutely
it's only had 26 reviews. All right, Josh, would you like to go first, as in talking about how good Iron Maiden is, or would you like to talk about how bad Kingpin is? Which one?
I'll defer to you.
It's so hard because I've never played Iron Maiden, but I can talk about how good it is.
Is that true? Are you serious?
Yeah, neither of us have played it.
It's not here yet. It's not here yet.
Well,
the pros are not in Australia yet?
We had a couple
There's
of pros.
two pros that were air freighted down, and that's to QLD, Queensland. They get all the pins. No one cares about it enough to air freight it down to Melbourne.
Wow.
All right, I'm gonna try and trash Kingpin because I know, Josh, you can speak very passionately about Iron Maiden since Keith Allen, your best friend behind Jeff Teolis. Okay. All right. So, are you ready, Josh?
Yep.
All right. I'll give you about a minute. Go for it.
So, God created this person who is the best pinball player in the history of all time. And he's been allowed to create a game in his image that perfectly reflects his level and ability as a player, physically manifesting in a game design. You have 4 flippers and whatever the other crap you guys say when you don't know what to talk about. But the game is just perfection in terms of shots leading to things, rules being designed around the geometry of the game that exists. It's just the hardware and the software of the game. You can tell that it's been done in tandem, and it's very rare for a game to ever be sort of conceived that way. I got nothing else.
All right, that's good.
That good.
That was good. That was really deep. Yeah.
Yeah, that was almost shed a tear there.
Give me a second. I need to wipe my eyes. I got a little emotional. Jesus.
Tears of a winner. Okay, Marty.
Yep.
Your time to talk about how cool Capcom's Kingpin is.
Yep. Here we go. I got this. You ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So the first 2 things I'm going to talk about are design and art, and maybe some sound. But Mark Ritchie, his greatest achievement as far as a layout goes, and the art by Stan Fukuoka, he's known for all the Capcom machines. The art on this is fantastic, right? So, and it's so good that's why it's being remade. The game design and shot flow is solid. The theme integration is excellent. The artwork is atmospheric. The backglass, I would say it's eye-catching, and the color choice is fantastic as well.
The color choice.
Yep, absolutely. I reckon some of the design and animation, it's very reminiscent of Big Bang Bar. We love that. This game is fantastic, and I'm really pleased that it is being remade.
Okay. Thank you, Marty.
There you go.
All right. My chance to rebut and talk about how Kingpin sucks. All right. Kingpin. You want to talk about eye-catching art, Marty. The side art, the side art of Kingpin has the one of the ugliest arts ever, and it's because it's grey. Who makes a grey pinball machine? No one ever, except for Capcom, and they were probably going to change it, but they fucked up and they pulled the plug, and it's being remade, and they didn't even think to change that. They're just like, okay, it's like when you do Photoshop and like it has like a default background color, and you're like, I'll fix that later. That's what they did, right? The new LE artwork, I won't talk about that. We'll talk about the old one. The rules on this game, are very, very, very basic. You can literally just start every mode at once, kind of like The Simpsons, but not good. And Steve Bowden got to the wizard mode in like 15 seconds. Sorry, 15 minutes. Yeah. Cool layout, but Kingpin is no Iron Maiden. I rest my case. Marty?
Okay.
Time to bag your $13,000 purchase.
Yep. Okay.
All right, go for it.
So, Iron Maiden, the music is just terrible. What a terrible theme for a pinball machine. Oh, yet another rock band. Boring, uninspired, just, too easy, too simple. It's a game by numbers. There's no toys. Come on, we all need toys in these games. It's... I don't know.
That's all you got. That's all you got.
That's all I've got. I mean,
how much
the music is terrible.
Keith is.
The music is terrible. Is all I've got to tell
I hear he's not even good at pinball.
It should have been Archer, right?
Exactly. Missed opportunity. Archer is a far more popular theme.
Down the irons. I'm trying to help you out here, Marty.
It's got rules, shots. It's a flow monster.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's got good. What was the word? Good bomb. Good bomb price or something. You got 6 Flipper Mechs. It's got good bomb value there. Yeah. All right. Cool. So we'll put that up.
It's a hell of a profit maker for Stern. That's what makes it so great.
All right. So we'll put that up on Facebook in a couple of days. Marty, you've got someone coming over in a sec to pick up your pinball machine.
Correct.
Josh, it's probably way past your bedtime.
That's an understatement.
Awesome.
Any more questions, Marty?
No, that is it. Just thank you so much for coming on. Finally, the extended version. Really appreciate it, man.
An hour and 53 minutes more than last time.
Awesome.
We appreciate it, Josh. We'll chat to you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Sounds good. Take care, guys.
So there we go. That was Josh Sharpe finally on our show for a considerable amount of time.
He's our first repeat guest, Marty. What a great honour. What a great honour.
Yeah, well done, Josh.
So, this week in the Star Trek update threads on Pinside, everyone was kind of arguing, not everyone, but everyone seems to think that when
people
the guys...
arguing on the internet?
Never. The whole Khan thing, people say he sounds like Kai. And I've seen this thing posted for like 3 years, and I have never once heard Kai.
Ever.
And it's like that whole...
It's Laurel Yanni.
What do you hear? Do you hear the N at the end?
I have only ever heard Khan. But I know it's Khan, because I know it's Khan from Star Trek. It's Khan. The Wrath of Khan. Khan. You can.
Yeah, but I guess people are thinking that it's being clipped like halfway through. Like, I don't know. I guess we could just like insert the Khan call. I can download the ROM and I'll email it to you and you can just repeat that on loop at the end of the show. Yeah. Would that be a good way to send everyone off?
Sure. Give me some more editing to do. That'd be great.
Okay. So, Supreme Pinball Machine. We had a bit of a brushing with Supreme this week, Marty.
We did happen to have some Supreme apparel on the weekend with us. So
yeah, we'll get to that a bit later. But there's now one in Sunshine Laundromat. So there's 2 of these machines to play in on public location in the entire world, and they're both in New York City. What is that?
I know, but I think that's cool.
Spread them around.
Well, as we know, I don't know whether it did sell, but there was one that I saw that was going for $75,000. So I think it's kind of cool that Sunshine Laundromat, not that they ever would, but they would go, no, we're going to spend this money and it's going to go on site, as opposed to we're going to buy this and flip it for $1 bazillion.
Well, what they'll do is they'll make $75,000 in profit, sure. Right? And then they'll sell it for $75,000. Like none of these people are going to say, "Hey, when you send me pictures of the machine, can you show me the shooter lane?" They don't give a shit. They don't know what they're doing. As long as it's white on the side and it has the logo. Okay, guys that restore pinball machines, right? You're slaving away. You got the most anal customers ever, right? You're hating life. Just make a fake Supreme Pinball machine. Find the star. What's it called?
Spider-Man Home Edition.
Find one of them and just fucking paint it white. Just chuck a couple of stickers on there.
Yep, easy done.
That's it.
That's
That's like
the simplest
seriously
thing you could do.
Like no one's ever cloned a pinball machine. I mean, I know there's protection against it, but like, you know, in China they clone everything because you know the intellectual property they don't give a crap.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's never been done in pinball because it's just such a small hobby that no one's ever thought, I'm going to make fake Stern pinball machines. So this is your chance, guys. Make the world's first.
Officially, we are not condoning the cloning of Stern machines and forgery thereof. Just saying so, Ryan.
Just a joke, guys. Just a joke. Just trying to bring in some lols. All right. What else is going on this week, Marty?
Well, you sent a link to me to the Joe Kamenkow interview by Neil McRae. I don't know how long ago that was, but I hadn't seen it before, and it was a great interview.
Yep, it was a kind of a Skype interview, and then I think he pre-recorded it and then published it on Twitch as like a live stream. And I think the way the software works is it records whoever's talking the most, and so when Joe Kamenkow was showing his Batcave, I was like, shut the hell up, Neil. Because it kept cutting back to Neil. And I'm like, I want to see this room.
So there's things that I'm passionate about in life. And the two main ones are pinball. I don't know whether that's a big surprise for you, Ryan. And the other is exotic sports cars. So yes, he was talking pinball and it's great. But when he then went into his garage to show his Batmobile, which I wasn't all that fussed about, I'm like, oh my God, look, there's a Ford GT. And I'm like, what? Nope, it's gone. Neil
McRae's laughing.
I know. And every time he's talking, it's like, oh my God, I just want to see this car collection. It looked phenomenal. And then we were back to him on the treadmill.
Yeah, I laughed a bit too much over that, where he just mid-interview is like, if you don't mind, I'm pretty busy, so I'm going to do my workout while he's
treadmill. He's treadmill doing an interview. I just thought to myself, that right there is a really successful person.
Yeah, like there's how many fucking excuses that people have for not working out. This guy is multitasking. He's talking to his assistant or whoever, like, you know, at the same time as the interview, giving you a tour, answering questions, and working out at the same time. Yep. What a legend!
It was just so good. Absolutely. What else? Well, speaking of crazy videos, Ryan, did someone also very well known someone very well known got their Iron Maiden this week.
Yeah, he only got a pro. What's going on? Mr. Ed Robinson of Bare Naked Ladies. The video was shared on Stern Pinball, and it's just another one of those videos, like the Joe Kamenkow one, where I just laughed. I know it's meant to be funny, but I probably watched it on loop like 10, 15 times and laughed more and more every time. It's basically just Ed just dancing, and I think I know why I find it
well, dancing
really
like
funny.
Beyonce is what you said to me before we started recording.
Basically. But I think he's also dancing like someone else. Marty, did you watch The Goonies?
No.
Okay. This is the new age truffle shuffle, okay? It's what he's doing. It's Ed Robinson's impersonation of the truffle shuffle to Iron Maiden music. I will link that in the show notes as well.
It is funny. Well, it's just good to see another person.
Really great news that we're putting out, Mark. This is really great news.
Another person gets their Iron Maiden. We still have to wait.
A couple of new podcasts this week, like a million new podcasts.
Well, we need new podcasts. So This Week in Pinball has teamed up with Zach from Straight Down the Middle, and they're doing their own podcast. So good on them.
Yeah, it was pretty good. They basically read down the list of what's on This Week in Pinball, which they're allowed to do because they run the website. Their content.
I don't. Do you know, it was really funny because I was talking to somebody, and again, we're going to get to your tournament, but someone on the weekend said, "Oh, you know, it's really good on them, considering, you know, he's the one that gets all the news." And I went, we pretty much put our podcast out at the same time, and we do, you mainly, the same amount of research each week. So I think it's funny.
Yeah, I mean, I said sometimes we double check, but we don't have a website. We're not publishing it out there, so we're not going to get any credit for finding Ed Robinson news stories. And Steve Bowden, he's up to episode 3. Him and Nikki have a podcast. It's called the Meltdown Podcast. I don't know how to describe this podcast, buddy, so I'm going to pass it to you.
I think it's probably a bit surreal. Do you know what? Again, I was talking about this on the weekend, and I think the best way to describe this is 2 people coming together, having a good time, talking about pinball-related topics, and not giving a shit.
The second episode is like I don't know how to describe it. It's like a case file study of like a pinball machine that was found. And then the third episode is kind of like explaining what happened and stuff. As Steve Bowden said, there can be never too many podcasts. Like no one ever complains that there's too many YouTube channels. It's pinball content.
Correct.
So we'll link that in the show notes. I have no idea where this podcast is going.
I
when I
think it's
say
hilarious.
speaking of pinball, they're going to read pinball news. The Meltdown Podcast, I don't know what they're going to do next. So that's interesting. So talking about This Week in Pinball, shall we steal some of their content and talk about their public vote of the top 10 designers of all time?
Yes.
I thought maybe instead of just reading through the list, we can give our favorite games from the designers in the top 10 list.
Okay. Sure.
Okay, what's your favorite Keith Elwin game? Because he's at number 10.
Well, my favorite Keith Elwin game's probably Archer.
Yeah, I'll go Archer. Fine.
Iron Maiden's not so bad.
Number 9, Barry Elsler.
Uh,
He basically got Doctor Who or BSD.
I would
And a million other games, but
you go first to buy me enough time.
I'll go Doctor Who simply because of the toy mech is I just love it. I love the 3-level playfield.
I wanted to say Doctor Who, but I just feel he has got a lot more games than just that. So, you know,
I think it's what he's known for is those 2 games. And I mean, I think he even said in one of his interviews, they're the 2 games that he's the most proud of, buddy. So
yeah, okay. I'm not a big fan of either of those machines. So,
okay.
But you know, I'm looking. I tell
Pass
you
him
what,
all his
though,
other like 70 games.
But okay, so I'm looking at his back catalogue, right? And he did Gorgar. Gorgar is one of my absolute favourite games.
There we go. There's your answer.
So, you know, what else he done? He did like the Pinbot and Jackbot. That was him, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think
great
so.
games as well. Space Shuttle. I love Space Shuttle. Time Fantasy.
Was that him?
It was with the acid snail. So I mean, surely he gets it for that.
That was his experimental period in his life. All right, number 8, Scott Danesi.
Scott Danesi. That's a hard
the number
one.
8 designer of all time.
Yeah. Well, yes. Total Nuclear Annihilation. Move it on.
Enigmatic pinball / designer, number 7, John Papaduke.
Ooh. Now that's my favourite game of his is World Cup Soccer.
Okay. I'll go with Circus Voltaire, even though Theatre of Magic feels 10 times better to shoot. I love the flow of that game. I love the ridiculous nature of Circus Voltaire because there's nothing in that game makes sense. You're bashing the ringmaster. The ringmaster's the chick that's on the back glass. There's a ball just sitting there on the playfield. There's a popper. There's a pop bumper that shoots out of the playfield. It's crazy. Number 6.
I was just going to say, I would also say that I think Theatre of Magic is probably his best game. You know, Tales of the Arabian Nights is also good. It's just, for me, I think World Cup Soccer just hasn't lost its appeal. The other games, I think I've played them enough and I'm kind of done.
Okay. Yeah, I think World Cup Soccer is what people attribute as the best kind of tournament game, and I guess tournament games are the ones that have the most legs outside of the collector community.
Yeah.
Number 6, George Gomez.
Really, I think it comes down to really 2 games, and that would be Lord of the Rings or Monster Bash.
And? You like Monster Bash more, come on, just say it.
If you had a Monster Bash and Lord of the Rings side by side, and you said Martin, you can only take one of these home. Which one do you think I'd take?
Monster Bash.
No, Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
Lord of the Rings, because Monster Bash, I've done it. I've seen it all. I've got to the end. Thank you. Got the ribbon. Went home. Lord of the Rings, there's a lot more that I could do. Like, when I say a lot more, I mean something like actually learn the rules and play it. So I reckon Lord of the Rings was his best game.
Yeah, I can't argue with there. Number 5, Mr. Dennis Nordman. Alien, Demolition Man, Whitewater, Scared Stiff. What else has he done that's popular?
Dr. Dude.
Oh, great game.
Indy 500. I would say, well, Woe Nelly, Big Juicy Melons is also good.
When they talk about melons, they're talking about boobs?
No, they're not.
That would be rude, wouldn't it?
That would be. I'm going to say my favourite of his is Indianapolis 500.
Really?
Yep, love it.
How often have you played? Did you even play that the other day at Dave's house?
Yes, I did. A lot.
Okay.
In fact, I probably played that the most out of any game. I've always had a soft spot for Indy 500. I like it. I like the rules. I like the layout, the geometry. I like that game.
Wheel of Fortune, Pirates of the Caribbean, Party Zone.
Blackwater is probably
Blackwater.
one that people like the most, I guess. Or
yeah, I mean, for me, it's pretty close between Whitewater and Demolition Man, but I'll give it to Demolition Man purely on the rules. Even though people will say that the rules on Whitewater are better, I like with the claw disabled, I like the rules better on Demolition Man.
So when I was at your house on the weekend, I would have played. It was when everyone was having lunch. I'd already had my lunch, and I sat and played Demo Man for that entire time. So I think it was about half an hour. And do you know what? I've always been really down on Demolition Man. I've never really got it. I've always thought it had a really awkward layout. I didn't quite get the rules. But do you know what? After half an hour playing, guess what?
You still don't like it?
I fucking hate it.
Why?
I don't like it. I don't like.
Do you get the
layout.
rules? Like, do you understand how to get lock freezes and stuff like that? Because a lot of people don't.
Just so you can quiz me now. So the lock freezes are the right in lane.
Yeah, but how do you activate that?
So the ball goes. I don't know how to light the right in lane, but once you've then it goes down that right in lane, you've then got to shoot the left ramp to get a freeze. And the more you do, that's the more balls that will then go into multi-ball, right?
Yes. Okay. You have to hit your stand-up targets to light lock freeze. I mean, the first one or two will be lit for you already.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Yep.
And access claw is MTL. Up the top.
Yep. That's right.
Yeah. And that's also your bonus multiplier, and it multiplies your combos. So you can just sit there and shoot combos all day long.
Yep.
And that can be the game if you really want it to be.
I will say I did actually enjoy it more than I have before, but that's still not saying much. I don't think it's a bad game. It's just not something that I really like.
Good. It's good for an average game. I don't speak about Demolition Man like if I paid 10 grand for it, it'd be an amazing machine. I love it because it's my cheapest machine and it's the one that I can have almost the most fun on.
Yeah, good bang for buck. There it is.
Number
Borg is next.
4. Yeah, Mr. Borg. I'll go first on this one, and it'll be a really boring answer because everyone's probably thinking the same thing as me. I will go coin toss between Metallica and Walking Dead. I'll go Walking Dead. Simply because I probably like the software more than the layout. I think the layout is shit. I think the layout, which is weird because it's a John Borg game. The layout on Metallica is better, even though it's a fan layout. I despise that you plunge into the pops on Walking Dead. I might be in the minority here, but every game that there's a skill shot that puts the ball on the flipper, like Attack from Mars or Metallica, even if it's not to my advantage, I will still do that because I want the ball quicker than not winning the ball.
See, I would have thought that you would have said Tron.
Oh, shit. He made Tron as well. Okay. I forgot. Okay, I changed my answer to Tron. I haven't done much research. This is just some shitty filler segment, okay? This is not the real content. That was Josh. Josh Sharpe is in the content here.
We-
No one's even fucking listening anymore.
No,
Okay.
everyone has turned off now. So for me, it's an interesting choice. It's between Indiana Jones, Avatar, or Big Buck Hunter.
The battle, the turds.
Or Tales from the Crypt.
They're all great games, man.
So, look, oh man, he's done some great games. He really has. It's really hard to say. I would say, only because I've been on record saying that I think it's the best machine that Stern have ever made, I would say Metallica, but The Walking Dead, you know, it's neck and neck, really. They are both fantastic games, but as I said, he's made some other great games as well. Aerosmith's fantastic. If that was a better theme, I would have loved that.
A better theme like Kiss, because if you like the Aerosmith layout and you like Kiss more than Aerosmith, then you got your game.
No, I think Aerosmith was a correction of Kiss.
Isn't that unfair for everyone that owns Kiss, though? Is Guardians of the Galaxy a correction on Metallica? No?
No, not really.
Okay.
No, but as we've said many times, Aerosmith does not play anything like Kiss.
It doesn't.
No, it doesn't at all.
Yeah.
And Guardians doesn't play anything like Metallica or Iron Man.
I mean, we had this massive fucking talk when the game got released, but like it's the same shots, but they feel different because they're not associated with sound. Like getting fuel, like the double scoring shot on Metallica feels amazing because of the sound. Getting whatever it is on Guardians of the Galaxy, it feels like nothing because of the sound.
Yep. I still would say that of all of John Borg's machines, I would pick Avatar over all of them, if to own.
Like to pay for it because the avatars are really cheap, or to just get for free.
Get for free.
Oh,
no,
fuck, money.
To pay for because they're cheap.
I was about to say, if someone says, do you want a Walking Dead Premium, or, I mean, a Walking Dead anything, or Avatar for the same amount of money, like you just get it for free, you would choose Avatar.
No.
You would choose Avatar for a week, and I'd say, what was I fucking thinking?
I'd pick the other one, sell it, and then buy, an Avatar and an Indiana Jones.
Okay. Number 3, Mr. Brian Smiling Eddie. He has only released 3 pinball machines ever: The Shadow, Medieval Madness, and Attack from Mars. And people put him as number 3, which is just insane. Man, pressure's on him to release this next game at Stern or whenever it's going to be. Can you imagine if it's just an absolute turd? Like, oh man, you fluked it 3 times 20-something years ago.
He is also co-credited with doing Black Rose as well, just letting you know.
Yeah.
But
Let's just ignore that.
Okay, so of the 2 great machines that he's made,
Ha ha ha! Wait, did you go shit on Shadow this weekend, Marty?
Yeah,
is that
terrible.
why? Yeah.
It's a terrible game.
It's because it's hard. Is that what it is?
Yeah, no, I want to spend more time. And in fact, when I come over to your place, the Shadow is one of the machines I go to the most because I want to understand it. I want to get a feel for it.
There isn't that much to understand. You start modes, can't multi-ball, battlefields.
Yeah, just some of the shots are a little bit awkward, that's all.
Sure. Okay, so Attack from Mars or Medieval Madness then?
Attack from Mars for me.
Yep, I go Attack from Mars as well.
Yep.
I've mentioned why before.
Yep.
Number 2, Mr. Steve, retiring soon.
He was
Richie.
ripped off. He should have been number 1.
Star Trek, just say it.
It is Star Trek, yep.
Yeah. I will go AC/DC just to be different.
Really?
Yeah. I like the layout of that. I mean, how can you not like a Steve Ritchie layout on pretty much any machine, right? But it's No Fear 2.0. It's you said that Aerosmith is a better Kiss.
Yep.
With like the corrections. AC/DC, I feel like it's a better No Fear in the terms of the call outs. Like he almost has like repeated call outs that he does on No Fear. And I just love him just talking shit and just, telling me I'm crap when I miss the song jackpot. I don't know. It's a cool game.
Well, so what's great about Steve Ritchie, right, is that in recent times, like those like those games, he's been able to pull out some great hits. But back in my day, you ready for it? So back in the solid state for me, and that's where I get my main connection with Steve Ritchie. Some of my older favourite games like Firepower and Black Knight. I love those games, right?
Yeah.
Flash. I love Flash, but they don't necessarily great games by these standards, and I think competitions have sort of made some of those games unplayable because there's so many exploits. But he just had some great machines throughout the years.
Number 1, drum roll, Mr. Pat Lawler. Do you think it's Patrick Lawler? What's Pat short for? Patrick Lawler? Patrick Lawler. Okay. Of Dialed In fame, CSI, Shrek, Family Guy, NASCAR, Grand Prix, Ripley's, Rollercoaster Tycoon, Monopoly, Wizard Blocks, No Good Gophers, Safecracker, Addams Family, Roadshow, Twilight Zone, Funhouse, Whirlwind, Earthshaker, and Bonsai Run.
You go first. Everybody knows, I am not a Pat Lawler fan.
Okay. I will easily go Dialed In, even though Twilight Zone and Addams Family are, I think, really fun games to play. The 4-way combo in Dialed In to lock a ball is one of the greatest things in pinball. Left ramp, right ramp, up the middle, side ramp, and you locked your ball. It feels exciting every time. If the common theme here, if there's a game that you can get some good flow and it means something, then I like your game.
Yeah, and I would say that Dialed In, I think, is my favourite Pat Lawler game for precisely that reason, in that it doesn't necessarily feel like a traditional Pat Lawler. It's not so stop and start. It's really good flow, and the shots just feel magic. But
you hate Twilight Zone and you hate Addams Family, don't you, Arnie?
Correct, as well. So they were never in the running. But I've sort of said that I have, sometimes a bit weird taste when it comes to.
You like Funhouse, don't you?
No, yeah, I don't mind it. I like Earthshaker.
Whirlwind, then. You were talking with your best mate,
really
Keith.
I like Whirlwind.
Okay.
As you know.
Bonsai Run. Get the ball to the top, Marty.
I tell you which one of his games that I've had the most fun playing in real life, Safecracker.
Where did you play that?
I played that at a friend of ours, Darren's place. He's got one. And I couldn't stop playing it. Yep, Dirty Daz. And, he had like 20 machines, and I just kept coming back to Safecracker. It's a really fun, interesting game. Did
you win the token?
Yeah, I did.
Did you stop playing after you won the token?
No, I kept going, because there was a group of us playing as well. I just think it's one of those things where when you've played a lot of pinball, sometimes it's nice to play something that's different that actually still is enjoyable.
But it's almost like that top bit is rigged, right? Like if the game wants you to win that,
of course,
doesn't that defeat the entire purpose of pinball? Like that makes it into a gambling device, pretty much.
Maybe if you want to be that guy, but if you don't want to be that guy and actually just look at it as being a really quirky play on traditional pinball, then you'll be a happy person for the rest of your life.
All right. So what you're saying is I have to treat pinball less seriously.
Yeah, I just think, don't let some certain little shortcomings ruin a game completely. Yeah. So
is that a segue into the Slam the Top 100 results?
Well, it is. Just before we do go into the Slam the Top 100, just wanted to give another shout out. We did speak about it before about, the big Southern Hemisphere Pinball Championship that's happening. So go to Aussie Arcade, and I know that there's a thread on Pinside as well about it. 100 players, all fighting for dominance of the Southern Hemisphere. That is, every single country in the Southern Hemisphere you will dominate.
Wow. That's a lot of countries, man.
It really is a lot of countries, not just Australia and New Zealand, right? It's everyone.
And it's at Dave's place, and if you ask Dave nicely, he pretty much lets you sleep underneath his pinball machines.
Yep, pretty much. You don't even have to ask nicely.
All right. So Slam the Top 100, we did it last week. We recorded the Josh interview a couple of days ago, so we wanted to just make sure that Ghostbusters couldn't make a comeback. And lo and behold, 102 votes. Was the highest amount of votes ever, Marty?
By about 20 votes, in fact.
I'm really upset that I chose that GIF. Okay, so basically I chose a GIF. I couldn't find. I searched for about 10 minutes. This is really late at night, at like midnight. I was like, fish lady, weird alien lady, even just alien lady, and it just nothing similar to the Barracora kind of theme. And so I put Yannick Garcia, who is a Instagram model.
So basically, boobs and bum is really what won the day. And let me just allow me to have my delayed rant, because you had a rant last week, right?
Sure.
Here is my rant about this completely and utterly rigged Slam the Top 100, because 71% of the vote went to Barracora, a machine that most people have never even seen nor heard of. So I'm just going to, maybe just bring out a couple of call-outs. I think that lady is hot. Go for Barracora. Next person said, I voted purely for the GIF. Another one said, voted only because of Ryan's ranting. So, okay, there you go. Next one says, picture speaks 1,000 words. The next one, thanks. Hi, Scott, says, I love Ghostbusters and Marty. Thank you. And have a pro. But Barracora and Ryan C. win in a tough battle based on these GIFs only. The next one says, it's the GIF, Ryan. You win. What's another one?
Okay, we get it. We get the point, Marty. What I was saying is that I felt like my rant about Ghostbusters was so good that I could have won regardless.
No.
But I fucked up by using that GIF, and now I will never know.
Well,
but the end result is I still win.
Do you know what? I think if you had actually, in the spirit of Barracora trying to find a female fish, if you happened to find a picture of a female fish with its guts completely slashed and blood and guts all over the side of a beach, rotting with seagulls picking at its eyeballs, it's still going to beat Ghostbusters because people do not like Ghostbusters.
So your rant was for nothing, Marty.
All I'm saying is it was an unfair Slam the Top 100 because of that GIF, but it was always going to be an uphill battle. Ryan, last week we announced our Star Wars competition, and we have just been inundated with so many entry.
Basically about 1 million entries, but we're just going to play the top 5. Okay?
Just the top 5 for now.
We definitely didn't receive just 5 entries.
Nope, it was definitely more than 5.
Definitely more than 5, but, we don't want to bore you guys with a million inferior Yoda things. So, okay, the first one is from Aaron. Here we go.
Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to tilt. Tilts lead to suffering. Many tilts I sense in you.
It's really good.
Every Yoda voice is funny.
I know.
Good day, Ryan and Martin. It is me, Yoda. That translator would look badass in my swan hat, so I decided to enter your contest. I will teach you the Force so that you don't tear your pants when moving heavy objects. Number 1 on the top 100 Star Wars should be Yoda rules, bitches.
Again, I love the effort that people have gone to.
Oh, here's one from Pinside Petey.
Oh, that nuisance.
Won't go away.
This is Pinside Petey. Here's my Yoda impression. Sorry, losers. This one's gonna win it all. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. And suffering leads to Australia and this shitty podcast. Hey, why does Frank Oz have his hand up my ass? I'm a freaking Jedi Master. That's it. I'm done. And may the fuck off be with you.
You know, the best thing about that is the only part that he sounded like Yoda was when he was clearing his voice, preparing to do the Yoda voice, and then he just oh, I love it. Okay, next one is from Andrew Clark.
Jeff, my name is.
That's all. I don't get it.
You know. Name's Jeff.
Okay. There's too many Jeffs in pinball. Oh my
know.
gosh.
Hilarious.
Okay, and this one is my favorite, and it's because every time this guy emails Andrew, and we met him on the weekend, Marty. I feel like he has access to our chat logs because everything that we find funny during the week, like that whole Keith thing, we made like a 30-second joke about it last episode. We've been emailing each other, like messing with each other nonstop, just saying Keith, just for no reason. And I don't know if you find it funny, but I'm finding it funny. Anyway, with that in mind, here is Andrew's Yoda entry.
Imperial March you will sing to the sound of Keith.
Keith?
Keith.
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 Keith. Keith. Keith.
Keith.
Keith.
Talented you are.
Bam. Keith. So who is leading, Marty? Is Keith in the lead, or is it he be overtaken by Keith?
Yeah, I think right now Keith is probably still in the lead. So well done, Keith.
So who's the winner, Marty?
Oh, I think it was Keith. Keith is the winner for sure.
Keith's the winner. Yep. Thank you, Andrew. You win finally. You got robbed on the Pirates of the Caribbean contest. Here is the redemption.
Yeah.
And yeah. What else? Have we guys still got the dialed in stuff to give away? Maybe we'll do that next week. We'll make it super easy. We'll just be like, send us in your something, and we'll choose a random winner, rather than show us how talented you are.
Yes.
just just press the button and you might win. Okay. This week in pinball, what'd you get up to, Manny?
Well, let's talk about what we got up to this weekend, because you had your tournament this weekend.
Yeah, I had my, I called it Raging for the Queen, because it was the Queen's birthday today, so it was a public holiday here in Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We both played extremely well.
Oh my gosh, first and second. Find
That's
out who won
exactly
next.
what we would want to have said.
Yeah, don't know what happened. Cue the, Steve Bowden's got his pen ready, for our excuses about why we didn't win. I managed to finish 12th, but that was just by fluking the last game. Marty, how did you go?
I actually don't even know what my final number was. It was like 18 or 20 or something.
You're flattering yourself, Marty. I think you came 24th.
Yeah, it was something like that. So
out of about 34 people. So
yeah,
I came up to you because I was never in your group, and I was kind of struggling in the lower groups. I'm like, oh, Marty must be battling it out the top with the big wigs. And then I kind of looked at your results, and it was like last. Yeah. And I went up to you and I said, "What's going on, Marty? Why you be playing so bad?"
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Is that the end of the story?
Well, yeah. This is where you give your Steve Bowden excuse.
So it's a very simple excuse. I was actually ill. But that's an easy excuse. But here's the funny side of it is when I was playing, I had blurred vision, and I was like fumbling some of the easiest shots in pinball. Just really like the brain fading, flipper not going up, button not going. It was just crap stuff. And I was probably about, 3 or 4 rounds into it, and I just went, do you know what? I am not in any state. I am just going to have fun. So I even took my headphones out and just decided to just play, and it was fun.
But you still played shit.
I still played shit because as I said to you, for the day before, so the Saturday before, I didn't get out of bed the entire day until getting up to go to your tournament.
Okay.
So anyway, and I'm shit house today, but I soldier on because that's what I do for pinball.
I got 2 excuses that I can pull. One is at the start of the competition, Mick. Actually, no, I shouldn't have mentioned his name because what he did is totally illegal. Someone just randomly gave us some Supreme stickers, and we stuck them on our clothes, and I immediately felt superior to everyone in the room except you, Marty. And I thought that would improve my game.
Yep.
But then I kind of felt like everyone was peasants, and they they wanted to steal my money and my clothes and everything, and that's why I played bad.
Yep.
My other excuse is I'm fucking horrible at organizing. I get stressed out when I have to organize too much stuff.
It's the pizza, wasn't it?
Well, but the pizza thing was done after round 3, and I was still like playing shit afterwards. It's very hard to get into the groove of playing well in pinball, and when I couldn't get into the groove the entire day, I kind of thought about you going to Pinburg. I'm like, man, can you imagine like not playing well for 3 days, like not getting into your groove? Like that would be miserable.
Yeah,
like,
it would be.
Yeah, so I've got to like somehow figure out how to snap back into not being crap mode.
Yeah. Oh, look, I just took it as it was an off day. I spent therefore more time talking to people. That was you know,
I find it hard to do if I'm in the middle of a game and I'm trying to think about how am I going to play my second ball or third ball. I feel like I can't talk to people properly. Like there's that guy Andrew who flew down from Sydney to play in my tournament, and yes, I did talk to him. We had a good chat, but I've got like a million little things that are going through my head, so I'm not sure what I seem like to him. But I was thinking about the pizza. I was thinking about the next tournament that I'm running. I was thinking about making sure that like everything runs smoothly, about what I'm going to do on my third ball on Lord of the Rings. I can't concentrate on more than one thing at the same time.
That's right. So I think if you remember when you first saw me at a tournament, you went, geez, you're really stressed and you're really serious and you're really uptight. And it's like, yeah, that's because I'm focused. So that's what you were like. This tournament, I was just chatting to everybody. I was like, and people were coming up going, God, you're not playing well today. I'm like, I don't care. I'm actually now just having a bit of fun. I've thrown the game and I'm having fun instead. And that was good.
Yeah. So that was won by Richard. He won his third tournament in a row. I'm not sure when the next one will be held. I'm going to have a bit of a break and just re-energize because, man, running tournaments is the most draining thing. I actually don't even know if it's any. Everyone's just like, oh, we'll just find a location and run it from there. And I don't know if it's any easier, kind of just rocking up and running it, or if it's to do with moving machines around and testing machines. But it's exhausting. Like I don't want to play pinball for a couple of days. I don't want to walk into my pinball room.
So let's flash back to before you did your first interview, your first tournament. And this is not a told you so moment, but I remember saying to you back then, and I think it was when you were doing like a flip frenzy and all that kind of stuff. And I said, don't underestimate how taxing running a tournament is. They're really quite. They are.
I was more energized back then. Like it's been a very busy couple of weeks for me, and sure. I didn't even get to like play pinball almost the entire week leading up. So there's no practice, there's no anything, and it's just.
But running a tournament when everything goes well, it is fine. You can relax, but as soon as the slightest thing goes wrong, you've got that in your back of your mind that you're trying to fix and coordinate whilst trying to play as well.
I don't deal with the road bumps well. When 3-4 people ring me on the day, sorry, I've got diarrhea, I can't come. I'm like, cool, and they keep on talking to me for 5 minutes about how they have diarrhea. I'm like, all right, I gotta go. Like, I get it. Yeah. And then 2 people kind of don't rock up on the day, and I ring them, and they like, hey, I told you, like I'm away on holiday. And I'm like, you didn't tell me, and you paid for the event, so like, you know what I mean, like things like that. And then me not including someone, and then taking out machines and Seawitch not working again. And then the pizza debacle.
Well, I can tell you now, every tournament director that is listening to this podcast right now is saying to you right now, Ryan, that happens every single tournament.
But the only way in my mind, for me to not get affected by it is to not care, right? Yeah. Like for me, caring about how it's run and everyone kind of having the best time that they can, I have to sacrifice my sanity, my happiness for it, right?
Yeah. But so does just about every tournament director. They have decided to become a tournament director because they want to run it a certain way and they want it to be done perfectly. And so that's why there's that additional stress. And then you know what it's like when you're thinking everything's right and then all of a sudden you get a stuck ball or something goes wrong, 2 balls go in the shooter lane and you've got to make a ruling. It's like, oh shit, this was meant to be fun.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the proof is in the pudding with, like, say, Luke. Like, Luke runs a couple of comps around Melbourne every month, and he hasn't been performing too well. And then he comes to mine, and he doesn't have any responsibilities. I mean, he was doing some tournament directing as well, making some calls, but he came second, and he said, I love doing this. Like, I just rock up and I play, and then I go home.
Yeah, exactly right. I guess just the summary of it is, being a tournament director, it can be a bit of a thankless job, and it's a lot more stressful than people give it credit. There's a lot that you've got to organise. There's a lot behind the scenes. So good on you for doing it. It was a great tournament. I actually had probably the most fun I'd had at your tournaments.
Yeah, just don't try and come first, buddy. Yeah, I don't think it's a thankless tournament in the sense that everyone has told me that they really appreciate that I'm doing it, but it doesn't make it any easier if it doesn't come with a, hey, I will order the pizzas next time, or I will help you move all the machines and move them back in. As I said, people still did help out, but I guess I need to delegate more than trying to do it all myself. Anyway,
absolutely.
Moving on. What did you get to, Marty? I mean, in the Josh interview, you said that someone was coming to pick up your Hobbit.
Hobbit is gone.
What's that all about?
Yep, it is gone. So a good friend of the show, Dave Hashman, a friend of his, was looking to buy some machines, so he became the middleman and managed to buy it off me and picked it up on whatever the day was that we recorded with Josh. So it is gone. And the Game of Thrones will be going back to your place soon, I'm assuming.
Whenever I can be bothered coming to get it, yeah.
Yeah, correct. So I've got a very, very specific pinball-shaped gap in my lineup. So I want to get a new pinball. Because obviously
besides Iron Maiden.
Well, Iron Maiden, and just as a side note, Iron Maiden will be coming with 1.0 code, which was released this week. So
amazing.
That's kind of cool.
You got it right, Marty. You pre-ordered the machine like no matter what, and you struck gold. So far
I have struck gold, and you know what Josh Sharpe said about it as well. You know, it's a bit of a game changer, right? But what I want is, you know, so my lineup will be Wizard of Oz, Star Trek, and Iron Maiden.
Okay, you know, playing devil's advocate here.
Sure.
Why would you buy another machine when you have Iron Maiden coming? Is it purely for streaming, or is it literally like you just want to have four machines?
It's for streaming.
It's for, I was about to say, because you, like, as if you're not going to be glued to Iron Maiden playing that non-stop. And then you're like, okay, today instead of playing Iron Maiden, I'm going to play Avatar.
I know, but it's you know, it's either that or, you know, because I'm not going to be able to stream Iron Maiden 8 nights in a row. I'm going to be then, right, now I'm back to Star Trek and Wizard of Oz, which are the only two other machines. So what I guess I'm saying is, the fourth machine, I'm going to have the rotating door.
Okay. Why don't you do what I do and just put your hand up and say, hey, give me free pinball machines, guys, and then people just use you as storage.
Yeah, okay. That's an even better idea. Guys, if you're in the Melbourne area or anywhere in the world and you would like me to store your machine and have it streamed, and in fact, you can come on the stream as well, there's your payment.
Oh my gosh.
I have got a perfect place for your pinball machine. And I can tell you there's a couple of things that you're going to be guaranteed. One, it will not be handled badly because I don't tilt my machines. And B, because I am terrible, and I mean terrible at fixing machines, I will not lift the playfield, so nothing will go wrong.
Unless something does break, and then you won't fix it. I'm ruining your pitch. Yes, please give all of your free pinball machines to Marty, so he doesn't buy some shitty game. Unless it's your shitty game, but then he'll gladly accept it into his house.
But no, so I'm looking for a sort of a machine that's... I want it to be in good condition, but I don't want a new inbox. I don't need a recent Stern. I'm looking for an older game, either a solid state, early DMD, or...
Could have been Big Buck Hunter, man. Sold it for less than $5,000.
Yeah, that would have been great.
And it could have been Pirates of the Caribbean Stern. Sold for $5,000 this week.
No, I know. Anyway, so that's it. Also, speaking of code, Star Trek got code this week. Now, we didn't guess that.
Haven't we mentioned this 3 times already?
Well, because it only came out this week.
Okay, I'm talking about with Josh, and then before with the Khan thing. Okay, let's talk about Star Trek again. What do you want to talk about, Marty?
Just the fact that we said last week that, with the Vault Edition, that there's a chance that there's going to be...
We knew it was coming. We were part of the beta testing team. Come on, Marty. Just let him know.
So, but I still haven't updated my game with it because it just didn't really feel that different.
I haven't updated my game because I didn't want to muck around with it before the competition. It is back in my house finally. It's been in my garage for about a month. I will update it, and I will beat you to Enterprise Unlock Money.
Yep, you probably will.
Cool.
So that was my week. How about you?
I got my Quicksilver this week.
Oh, wow. Did you ever?
Oh, my God. Immaculate, 10 out of 10, mint condition, Quicksilver. No, I warned you.
It's quite the opposite.
I warned you that it was in very rough condition, and you were like, don't worry. Everyone was just like, yeah, it's not that bad. And then everyone just looked at it and just kind of like laughed on the weekend because... I mean, I guess everyone laughed because my machines are in pretty good condition. Besides maybe Sea Witch and even Demolition Man is probably my worst condition machine. Besides that, and this is like a non-working project. So with the wrong color, it's spray painted green. Like the machine needs any more green. The side cabinets are green. There's like a membrane kind of like screwed onto the back. A quick shout out to the people that helped me get it. I didn't mention their names last time. I didn't want to jinx the whole process. When I rang this guy, he had a whole bunch of people that wanted the machine because it was fairly cheap. And he said, I need it picked up today. And he was in another state. So I rang my mate, Dave McKinnon, friend of the show. He said, I will help you out, Ryan, but I can't pick it up today because I don't have pinball transport. But... in the same sentence, he says, I know someone called Doug who does, and he lives around the corner from me. So he rang him and this is before my last competition. Within 20 minutes of my phone call, he was already in a car with Doug on the way to pick up this machine, and he paid for it in cash on my behalf while the bank transfer cleared. And then he stored the pinball machine at his house, Doug, until a guy called Matt. Hello, Matt. We've met him before at the Flip Out event last year, Marty. Matt was coming to Melbourne to do a pinball swap with my mate Nimmer, and he said, would you like me to deliver your Quicksilver pinball machine? I said, sure. How much do you want for it? And he said, nothing. I'm on my way anyway. I will deliver your machine for free, which is just – we talk about it all the time in pinball. There's a couple of bad eggs that people – concentrate on, but 99% of pinball people are amazing people, and I got that on the weekend. Nimmer got his dialed in, Matt got a TNA, everyone is happy. When I have the energy, I will start working on Quicksilver to first make it work, make it flip, and then decide what I'm going to do with the condition of the machine because the back glass is colored in. It's it needs a lot of fucking work.
And honestly, I thought I was one of these people that thought that you were exaggerating, going, "Oh, it's not going to be as bad as he says." And as soon as I looked at it, I just went, "What on earth have you bought?"
The ball that was in the machine, half of it, like literally 50% of it, is pure rust.
Yeah,
and it has fucked up the play field. Something shocking. Like there's little dots, white dots in the play field, and I thought that was just kind of like dirt. And when I was at the competition, I was kind of wiping it, and I realized that was like small like chunks of the playfield. So
I ran my fingers because the glass was off, obviously, and I ran my fingers on the playfield just to feel how much the inserts have lowered.
Yeah,
you got a lot of work ahead of you. But you know what? And someone said, "Oh, he doesn't know what he's got himself in for." And I said, "But Ryan's the kind of person that will take this as a challenge, and you will actually learn new skills by doing this one up."
Or I will just give it to someone else to do it for me. My name is Jeb. No one knows what we're talking about except for like the 20 people. Yeah, it's one of those things where if you buy a restored machine like this for like $5,000, everyone's like, "Oh, well done," pat you on the back. But if you buy it for $1,000 and spend like $2,000 doing it up, everyone's like, "Oh, it's just no one can see the light at the end of the tunnel, I guess."
Yeah.
I played the last game on TNA before it left, and I easily forgot. I mean, I know I had that 1 month where I talked about how good TNA was, and then I stopped when it left. if I don't play a game, it's slowly I forget how good it is, and I think, oh yeah, TNA, like no big deal. It is a fucking amazing game, and I got to react to 7 on my one and only game, and I'm sad now that there isn't one 10 minutes away from me.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to keep on making them. People keep on buying them. This is a forever pinball machine. Spooky said that, there's one day they were going to stop. They won't stop. They might have to order in batches of 50, but they'll keep on making them because the demand is going to be there for a long time. Just like Dialed In. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, just last thing on Quicksilver, Marty. Did you notice that it has penises all over the playfield?
No, I didn't.
I was listening to Ron and Bruce, and they were talking about me buying a Quicksilver, and then Ron kind of explained the rules. I was like, cool. I didn't know that you can chat the lanes to hit the spinner, and like now I don't need an Alien Star. That's the reason why I wanted that game. And then I looked at the playfield, and there are penises all over the playfield, Marty.
I'm looking it up right now.
Okay,
just to see what
I'll just wait. Here's some thinking music. Dun, 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 dun.
Are they though?
There's one that is a dildo, like it's a proper sized penis,
Really?
and then ones that kind of look like penises.
Where is your mind?
It's not my mind. It's Ron and Bruce from the Slam Tilt podcast.
Well, there you go. Now, all you had to say was Bruce, and I would
No,
understand.
I think it was Ron.
Ron.
Anyway,
I thought better of you. Really?
Anyway,
okay.
what's in the mailbag, Marty?
Nothing.
Besides our million Yoda entries, nothing.
There was nothing in the mailbag this week.
There was one thing that was in there last week that we forgot to mention, and it was the we talked about. Well, I talked about how curl. Why the double words? Why not just curl?
Yes.
There's no plural in the Aboriginal language. Aborigines are the people that they're like, the Australian version of the Indians that you guys stole the land off. We stole it off. Well, I mean, the English did, I guess, right? And there's no plural. You can't put an S on the ends, like crows. So it's crow. Is wagga wagga. So that's what the curl is. And that's what Andrew Highway is investing all of your hard-earned money on.
There you go.
There you go. That's a fucking awesome story. Okay, and part of this email, there's about 5 people that emailed us this. One person emailed weird towns in Australia. I know we're 3 hours into the podcast, but there is a place in Australia called Chinaman's Knob, was it? I don't have it in front of me. There's a place in Australia called Chinaman's Knob. How great is that? You're done, Marty. After 3 hours, you're just like, can you please stop talking, Brian, so we can end the podcast?
I'm also still sick.
Okay. That's pretty much it. There's a couple of other emails, but 3 hours in, are they worth reading out? If you do have an email to send us, you can reach out to us at headtoheadpinball@gmail.com, and we will maybe read it out if we can be bothered after 3 hours. Reach us on headtoheadpinball.com. Twitter, H2H Pinball, Facebook, just search for Head2Head Pinball, Instagram, all that jazz. Follow us, stalk us, but not in a weird, creepy way. Just socially stalk us. That's about it.
All right, thanks everybody for listening. We will do this all again next week, just for you.
Ooh, who have we got next week? Who have we got?
Oh, there'll be some clues coming up, I'm sure. So well done to everybody that guessed that was Josh Sharpe this week. Well, Stacey Borg. Well done.
That was impressive. That was like a 5-minute guess. Yeah,
not bad at all.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
Con! Con! Con!